Welcome back to Late Night at the Movies and the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. Episode 56, Enemy of the State.
Welcome back, everybody, to Late Night at the Movies with look, me, JT, Nico, and Julie. How you guys doing out there in movie land? So today we're going to be reviewing Enemy of the State by Tony Scott. Great fucking film to review. So we're going to have a blast with this one today, guys.
Which was your pick?
My
Yeah.
pick. I picked it. You know, that's why they got me over the cool picture here. But yeah, it's starring Will Smith, Gene Hackman, and rest in peace, and John Voight. Those are the three, well-listed stars. I mean, it's starring a bunch of people in there. In 1998, I think it came out, was the year, which is, quite a long time ago. So it's something interesting. You know what? I'll be honest, guys, I picked this fucking movie, okay, because, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's a great movie, for its time, for sure. But yeah, I don't know how much I liked it on the revisit, but I did it intentionally, despite one of our other co-hosts that didn't decide to show up today on the show because this is his favorite director, one of his favorite movies, and
Not his favorite director, but it's one of his. He
one of
enjoys
his
his
favorite,
director.
one of his favorite.
And to your credit, in part, you did want to pick something with Gene Hackman in it. Like there was talk about doing, but at the same time, you did want to literally spite Max by picking this because originally he wasn't supposed to be here for this pick, everybody. Then he said he was going to be, and then literally at the last minute prior to recording, he said he wasn't going to be here again. So in a way, you did get your wish, Jay. He isn't here to talk about this film.
He's getting FOMO right now.
Oh, that just adds to my thing that he doesn't like watching the movies I pick. Oh, bada boom.
This thing between you two has got to stop.
It's like a older brother, younger brother vibe we get to with each other, man. He's I've known Max now for quite a long time, so it feels like forever now. But yeah, he's a great person. But
unfortunately,
almost as long as you've known me.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, he has a tummy ache, so he wasn't able to join us. That was JT's excuse one time too. I remember for not bringing it.
I got the shits. Mine wasn't a tummy ache. Mine straight up said, "I got the shits. I'm not coming in."
Listen, if we're being honest, we were just all talking about how we've had the shits recently before recording.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
but here, hold on. I gotta read a comment though from Max that he wanted me to say on the show though, because of course he wasn't able to make it. He said, I wanted to become so badly for this movie again, and I made plans accordingly, but then boom, this happened. I guess it was meant to be. I didn't come to this thing after all, like I originally planned. He's like, maybe too passive aggressively spite JT. I'm going to be absent on all of his picks from now
on. There you go.
He's like, you could tell him I said that too on the show. So there you go, guys. If you want to play this way, that's what he said, Jay. If you want to play that way, he's like, let's do it.
I gotta start. Picking some good ones. Then I gotta start thinking about start going through his letterbox and check all this stuff out that he likes. He's really into, and start picking one by one.
Well, I told you already. Like, I'm just gonna go straight, like trying to pick bangers, like from now on. Like, there's certain strategic picks that, you know, I'll actually end up picking at certain points, obviously based on like some themes, or if somebody dies or something. It's good to kind of do that. And stay tuned. There was another big death recently, and Max, even though he's not here, he has the next pick, so we'll announce that at the end of the show. And that is going to probably tie into somebody that recently passed away. That's a famous actor, so stay tuned, because I am privy to that pick as a result of him, you know, letting me know what it was to announce. But yeah, I mean, it was hard to kind of fit into both these, not only the Gene Hackman category, but also a category of a director that he likes in a way to spite Max. Jay was just trying to look at certain picks, and as a result, he kind of got led astray a little bit in terms of his pick on this one, and picked a movie he may be not as passionate about. Let's be honest. It sounds like Jay.
Well, yeah, maybe not. Yeah, and maybe if I would have stuck with thinking in my head like The Godfather or something like that. Yeah, but I also thought to myself, you know what? Like I said, it is a Gene Hackman co-starring film,
Yeah,
or starring, or whatever you want to, however you want to categorize it. But
I'd say he's the second
really
lead or third lead with John Voight for sure in this movie. Yeah, him, John Voight. You said it right at the start. Him, Will Smith. It's a Will Smith film though, for sure, and with starring Gene Hackman. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that's in 90% of the film anyways, right? So yeah, so I mean, the first time I watched this, I was probably a teenager. I mean, I do remember seeing it vaguely, but it was during that era when there was all kinds of Will Smith movies like this that were coming out, so they kind of get confused in your head too, like which one was which in a sense. But yeah, I did see it for the first time. This the second rewatch. I don't know. I mean, I guess because we know where technology kind of went right now, I think that to this time it kind of gave me a little bit of a different perspective on it. And I'm thinking, well, you know, they might have not. They did, you know, did they do a good thing for the time that they put it out? You know, what I liked. I mean, I did like seeing all the actors, first of all, young actors. Second of all, I did like seeing a bunch of the scenes where they do show the technology that they were saying they were using, right? Like, but I mean, some of it was really far-fetched. I mean, if they had 98, if they had that satellite kind of imaging the way they did in this, then they were hitting it right on. But you know, I can't, for some reason, I feel like I mean, 98, I don't even know if we were into smartphones yet, really, at the end of the day. So, you know, how much technology was going on back then, because they were just getting into that whole era, right? Of
well,
cyber.
the government had all kinds of tech. They had an NSA like, what's it called? Like oh my god, like a consultant on as part of the fucking production staff.
Yeah.
So they had somebody there that
for this film, right? Yeah.
They had somebody that like used to work for the NSA or something that was a consultant for the writing.
I mean, to be fair, obviously there's certain stuff that they were only theorizing in this film, or the direction that it was going to go. But it did go this way, like in many ways. Like there's a lot of things that this movie did foreshadow that like actually came to actually be the case, right? Like, so you're right. It was more about the idea of them being able to track you anywhere and be able to monitor everything, which they can now do because everyone's got cell phones, right? So like with GPS in it,
I feel like that was the thrill, like, of watching this movie back. Let's say then that would have been the thrill, seeing like, oh fuck, they could be doing this to us, and it could start a whole conspiracy in your head, and then you know you start going down that road. But now to see it, you know, okay, if they had that technology then and they have it now, what kind of world are we like? Do we even know what they're doing? Like, are they watching me like literally, you know, scratching my private area right now? Like, seriously, probably with the camera.
Because this is what they want to know, Jay. They're really invested in you scratching your nuts on a podcast where we talk shit about movies.
Apparently, you can hypothesize on the direction of the camera, the way the camera faces for no fucking reason.
That was my fucking biggest gripe. But anyway,
the thing about the satellites only being able to look straight down, you mean that one? No, I'll get to my biggest gripe of although it's a trope. There's so many action movie tropes with technology in this at this time that for me, it's forgivable because this was what was in lots of these movies around this time. And then, if anything, this movie actually did pose, like, they went crazy with it. Don't get me wrong. This is like the most extreme version of this, like, kind of idea, but wrapped in a kind of an action film, right? But I do like that they did, like, there's still the whole conversation about the legality behind these things even now, like in terms of like what they can access and what they can't access and what they should, you know what I mean, in good conscience, like be able to like look into and stuff like that. So it's that whole conversation, I think, is good about this movie, but you can't really take it seriously through the scope of the fact that, this is basically just like them chasing him throughout this movie in the guise of an action film, right? Because that's what it is at the end of the day, right? It's a thriller, right? Which, I enjoy. This movie rips, man. Like, this, you can watch this movie, like, once you get to certain parts of this movie, it just, like, it goes so quick, like, the action in this film. It really gets broken into, like, 3 long kind of scenes at a certain point of the film, like, in terms of segments, right? So, I mean, which I know we'll get into, but go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
It's not even like it's just like a nonstop. It's nonstop. You don't even realize it's 2 hours long at certain points, right? Because you might have a couple slow parts, but then all of a sudden the fucking speeds up, and you're like, okay, scene from scene from scene from scene. So it gets a little crazy, and like, if you're not paying attention, that scene can fly right through, like right by you, right by your eyes. And then, like, if we're gonna get in, if we're gonna talk a little bit about the directing too, I mean, it is a well put together film.
Yeah.
When you think about it, when you think about the action scenes and the the whole things with stuff exploding and the way they're driving and all the stunt stuff that they do, right? You get to see Will Smith climbing outside a building again, like, King Kong or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's one of those action movies that you can enjoy it, and to see that even to today's standards, it almost, it's the same thing. It's the politics behind, it seems like to be behind everything, and whether or not we like it or not, there's always somebody trying to outdo somebody else, and it's just like, it's a big thing. Like I said, politics, regardless, and this, as we've seen in this one, plays a big part in it, right? So even though they don't really talk about it that much, but it does play a huge part, right?
That is definitely something that stuck out to me more this rewatch than ever before, because I feel like politics are so ingrained in our lives now, like into the culture. Even though I'm not big on them, I don't like talking about them or really kind of reading into them too much, because there's so much bullshit that goes on. But you're right, revisiting this movie, I didn't recall it being like, there's so many like right-wing kind of like comments being thrown around about, oh, these fascists is right-wing fucking nuts, and there's all these like things being said in this film about like the politicians involved in this whole, like, the Information Act thing or whatever, the privacy and what's it called? I wrote it down here.
They all want to get to the top. They all want to get to the top. Like, I mean,
Telecommunications Security and Privacy Act that they're discussing in this film, which is basically like what the whole premise of the film is kind of around, right? Why don't you set up the plot loosely, like what the plot is?
So the plot is just about a politician getting murdered and somebody getting framed for it. Will Smith's character becomes unfortunately entangled in this web of how he gets framed, and he doesn't even really know how it starts off. Like, he runs into a guy that has been studying Canadian geese, and he finds this video footage, and the government from there, and then you start noticing everybody. It's just corrupt, the NSA trying to ruin his life, right? So I mean, at the end of the day, and trying to free himself at the same time, because there was nothing really that he did wrong.
Well, yeah, because specifically, John Voight's character is a congressman that's trying to pass like a bill or something, like a law, to be able to look into people, like be able to monitor things like more, right? I believe. And
I don't think he was a congressman. I think he was just
he killed a congressman at the start. Then, sorry, he killed a congressman. He's another politician though, of some sort, right?
Yeah, one of them that wouldn't give him his vote.
Yeah. So exactly. So he kills the congressman at the start of the film. And basically what ends up happening is, there's somebody that has a tape that captures the murder. And as a result, he uses the same technology and ways to monitor people that he's been pushing for in this film through the government to track down Will Smith, essentially, right? And take him out, because he ends up with the tape as a result of some some other shit that went down. They, like you said, the guy Jason Lee, who's watching the migratory patterns of geese or something like that, and
Canadian geese.
Yeah,
make sure to say Canadian geese. Like, what the fuck are they doing down there in the U.S.? No, but yeah,
they travel. That's what he was basically
no shit, Sherlock. I'm just like, what are they doing now? I ain't down there. This is what I mean. Because right now and the time we're going through, there's a lot of politics being involved and thrown around this world. This is why I kind of looked at it maybe with different eyes, and that's why I didn't appreciate the action so much. Also, being older as well, and understanding a little bit more about that aspect of it and the whole privacy thing. And fuck, man, if I would have known that what they can do, who knows if we would have ever accepted now I can see why there's people that don't want those privacy bills and want to get them, but it's just the way of the world. It was the way it was changing, and even then they did a good job of projecting on how it and predicting on how it was going to be, right? Because I don't even think in '98 it was that, like, you didn't know about it that much. You were still watching you were using regular flip phones and fucking watching stuff on TV and VHS, you know what I mean? So but yeah, it was a very exhilarating and thrilling movie if you want to watch it for excitement wise. But I mean, for the storyline, it is what it is, right? I enjoyed that part, but maybe not as much as I did when I was younger, because I didn't really pay the attention that I needed to, right? So I just watched the excitement about it, and the that's what caught my
sure
the adrenaline. Yeah, the adrenaline, right? So
yeah. How about you, Julie?
Yeah,
your history.
I think from what I can recall, like, I think I've seen this movie twice prior to this. Like, I can remember watching it within the last, like, 5-6 years one time, and then but even that time I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this once before, but maybe, like, even just passively, maybe it was on TV and I saw parts of it or something. So I think that this is my third rewatch of it, like, in my life. And of the rest of, like, Tony Scott's films, oh, nice. Is that the lime one?
Yeah, I never tried it. My first time.
Sick.
Limonade.
Yeah.
Limonade, yeah. Of the rest, like, the Tony Scott stuff, I don't think I've seen any of it except for, like, Beverly Hills Cop 2.
That's a classic. I love Beverly.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he only directed the second one. He didn't direct the first one, which I think many people prefer to the second one. But the second one's still really good. I like the second one a lot. But
yeah, and
you've never seen Top Gun either? The original Top Gun? Okay.
Are we shocked? Not really.
Tony Scott's dead. Yeah, he died a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't seen most of his catalog. Like, literally, when I was scrolling through, I was like, I think I've only seen Beverly Hills Cop 2, and I think I only saw it once.
Honestly, every single one of the movies that he did with Denzel is worth checking out. Denzel and him are really good together. Like, they made like 4 or 5 films together. I wish that Jay picked Crimson Tide in comparison to this film. I like this film a lot.
I was gonna pick that one too.
You really should have, because it's him and Denzel going head to head, like, in terms of their acting chops in that one. Like, it's a much better
pairing
performance from Gene Hackman in terms of, like, he is equal, let's say, like, lead with Denzel, and I prefer Denzel to Will Smith as well, honestly. So, like, I think it's
a different style of actor.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, but yeah, sorry, Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, that would have been a better pick.
That's mostly, like, my history of it. Like, obviously it's about, like, military level government surveillance, like, and invasion of privacy and the misuse of tech and stuff like that for, like, corrupt political gain. Like, that I think probably was lost on me before. Like, I paid more attention to that part of this watch around, but, like, before it would have been just like a passive, like, okay, this is like a, you know, fast paced kind of action movie type deal. Like I think I paid more attention to the political stuff, like kind of like you were saying. And I also I did like more like research, like just into the trivia of like the making of the movie this time, because the nature of what we do here is kind of to look into it a little bit on a deeper level. I just found I don't know where else to put this tidbit that I found, so I'm just going to say it now. I just think it's funny that the NSA completely refused. It's also like not like it makes sense that this is what their stance on it was, but that they were completely uncooperative with production. Like when they had to get aerial footage of like the NSA headquarters for the movie, they had to shoot it like from a public airspace because the NSA was so uncooperative with the movie. But I guess that makes sense. It's the nature of like the paranoia of it all, and like that just like speaks to exactly what the movie is about, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for that.
Also, they're kind of making them look like the bad guys in this movie, right?
Yeah, so like the connotation is already bad. They're like, we don't want to be involved with your movie about how we suck.
Yeah.
How about we're fucking stealing or invading your privacy all day and all night. Yeah. So
yeah. And it's also really interesting to me that like this is all pre 9/11 before it really popped off.
Mm-hmm.
And and they talk about stuff in the movie that it's like, oh, they were on to something here. Like, yeah, there's kind of like nods now after the fact. They were like, oh, shit, like they were. And there's also stuff that they were like, oh, yeah, they had this type of tech in the military 20 years ago. They were saying during the film. So there was like in the 70s, they had crazy tech they were using too.
Well, that's what I was saying, I think, in one of our chats too, that you know, that technology, they tend to have it 10 years before it really becomes of public, you know, where the public can afford to even know what's going on, or afford the actual technology, or you know, they before they even tell them what's going on, right?
Yeah,
because I mean, a lot of the stuff that even our cell phones, they were probably out a long time before they actually came out. The problem is they had to make it more affordable for people, right? You can't just have one. The only way to ever do that is to make it more affordable. It's just like
there's
anything,
also
right?
like research and development that goes into like how can it be used for good and bad type of shit that they're looking into long before it gets to public release, right?
Yeah, especially for stuff like this, especially if you got something in your phone and you want something watching you all the time, right? I mean, yeah, it's one thing to track you, but it's a different thing to watch you all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, my history with this movie is I watched it back in the day, you know, probably not too long after release. Obviously at that time I watched it for Will Smith. You know, I was a big fan of him, and during that period of time he was coming out with a lot of great movies, and so that was my main interest in checking out the first time around. And that was kind of before I actually took more of an interest in directors as well. So I couldn't have even told you when I first watched this movie originally that it was a Tony Scott film. But then later on, when I took more of an interest in learning about directors or directors' films that I like, I noticed a trend of like when I looked, you know, up there, maybe IMDb history or whatever. I'm like, oh, so he also did that movie and he did this movie. And then obviously you start to see sort of maybe some similar themes or people that he worked with. Like I mentioned, like he worked like 4 times with Denzel in films and
like a trickle down effect.
Like a what?
Like a trickle down effect of people that he uses in his films too, right?
Yeah, well, just like his preference of people he wants to work with, and like, you know what I mean, and just certain, you know, things that he gravitates towards in terms of his themes in his films and stuff like that, stuff that he likes to kind of do with. Although, you know, he was best at action, and like I feel like stuff where moving vehicles, honestly, he was really good at. Like he obviously he did like, you know, things like Top Gun. He did that other movie with Denzel with the runaway train, which I think it's Unstoppable or something like that. I think it's called. I really like his movies. This probably would round out my top 5 of my favorite movies by Tony Scott, this film. But I really like it also because it's a Will Smith vehicle. Honestly, this is a period of Will Smith that I really wish that we had more of. And
it's sacred.
it's not just that outside of the slap, because I feel like the World at Large, I think, has finally moved on from that. I think he's recovered pretty well from that, to be honest with you. I don't know how your feelings are towards him, but he's been, he's rapping again now. He's going out on tour, like he's doing stuff now. And I still think that you're not a fan anymore because of the slap, or
No, I don't like his rap. I don't like his music stuff. I'm not into it.
Well, he did a Joyner song, a Tantrum.
Yeah.
That explains
Good
everything.
for him.
Happened for the Chris Rock thing. Yeah. What the hell was that?
He's too corny.
Not a fan
like
of his
it.
music? Oh, come on.
No, it's too corny for me.
I like Will Smith. I like some of his music too. And I actually seen him freestyling recently. He did he did that Lyrical Lemonade video. The ones with that producer that does all that stuff.
Cole Bennett, yeah.
He did he I think there's this thing where they go by and they do like freestyles like in this room or whatever. He did one of those, and I agree with Julie when she's saying some of the bars were kind of cheesy of like another era, but he is from another era. But it's crazy though, because he actually says the word shit in his rhyme, which he never swears. And I'm like, whoa, it's just swearing now. What's going on?
I was gonna say, I think those are like the farthest he'll go with his cuss words, right?
I think it's because of Joyner though. I think Joyner was the one who said like, yes, cuss Will. Like he convinced him to throw a cuss word out to like shock people, right?
But it's funny because in his movies he'll swear like doesn't make a difference. Like it's
but,
if he has to.
Okay, but to that same point, what you're saying there, as time went on, he started to become more of one of these guys that's like, I'm a serious actor guy. I'm going to be in more dramas. I'm going to do like he could have had a huge continuous action film star career, Will Smith. Like look at the movies.
Like Tom Cruise.
95 Bad Boys, 96 he had Independence Day, 97 he had what was it? I was just looking at it, Men in Black, and then he could still do comedy with the action. Like even in this he has funny lines. Enemy of the State came the year after Men in Black. Every year this guy's dropping like some really good stuff back then. That's like the rise of Will Smith post Fresh Prince to Bel-Air at this period, and also he's dropping music at this time too, like later on. I mean, Wild Wild West was terrible, but Men in Black, Wild Wild West, it was, but he's dropping music albums, themed album, like songs around the movies that are coming out that he's starring in. So that's no small feat, man. That's crazy.
No, and that's good. That's good production too, and making money for himself. That's smart business making. Like,
yeah.
But the funny thing is,
lining up the projects with his films and making raps.
A lot of these films, like this one here too, I feel like it's like you said, coming out of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air era. He had to change kind of not as quirky style, but he had to change. There's a certain style of him he had to change. He had to be that more serious person and play that more grown up fucking role. And you can see where maybe into some of these action films, it helped him turn into that more serious and grow as an actor, because I feel like this one compared to something like Concussion or something like that, are totally But I mean more like an adult based as opposed to slowly,
like a drama role.
What I really feel about it is that he started making safer choices. In terms of the roles that he would pick, because a lot of these actors, they get to a point where they don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to be looked unfavorably upon with the roles that they're picking. So I feel like a lot of these guys, they end up picking very safe roles and characters, and don't get me wrong, peppered in throughout the years, he would always go back and do like here and there like something interesting, like an I Am Legend, or you know what I mean, like he would do something interesting like that, like every now and then. iRobot Max was talking about the other day, which I haven't seen in a long time. I don't know if it holds up, but another interesting kind of action film with like future kind of stuff, like a sci-fi elements in it that he did, right? So like I think like just there became a certain point where like he was going for like the Oscar bait type of roles. Like he finally just won associated with that whole slap thing. No one was talking about the fact that he actually won. He won the award for that movie he was in, the King Richard one, about the Serena Williams' father. He won for that movie, right? But no one was talking about that because of the fact of the slap overshadowed everything, right? So,
but did he slap him before or after he got the award?
Before. Then he won the award.
That's insane. That's insane.
That we don't have to get in. We've commented on that when it came out at the time. It is. That's why the optics of it, even like people were shocked that they even allowed him to stay in the building and accept
stay.
the award
Yeah.
after that. But it was because he was going to win the award.
They're like, we have to let him stay. He's got the fucking win. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right on that, right, Jay? I think he slapped him, then he won the award right after, and then
the award, but I don't think he went up to get the award. I think the family of the move for the movie.
I don't know. We'll have to fact check it later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did though. I think that's the chain of events. But anyway,
yeah, it did. He did win for that movie. I know he did win for the movie. Yeah. But yeah, so I just don't know if it was before or after.
Right. But like, Will Smith has a lot of charisma and he's a funny guy, and he really could have really doubled down and had a much longer stint in action films like this if you really wanted to. So I like this movie overall. I like Tony Scott. I like Will Smith. As a Hackman part, like, I don't want to say he phoned this one in, but it's definitely like a smaller role for him.
He has that touch, but he has that.
I loved Hackman in this.
No, I liked Hackman in this. He's great in this. To be honest, he's sharing the screen with Will. Will's having a hard time keeping up at some point.
Yeah. He fucking even outran him in one scene, remember? Like to the train, except that he fell, the old man. But yeah.
I just think, like, you see, this is why I would have much rather you pick Crimson Tide, because when you watch Crimson Tide, it's like a heat check between him and Denzel. Like, these two are going toe to toe, like in that movie. Yeah, because they're enemy. They're basically not seeing eye to eye in that film. So they're really both like acting,
and they're stuck in the same fucking thing,
right? Where in this one, like, Will Smith is like, he's overacting in some of these scenes with Gene Hackman. So, like, if I'm being honest, I was rooting for him, but I'm like, yeah, Hackman isn't even doing much, and he's out acting.
Well, see, like, somebody like with Hackman, as soon as he starts talking, and then Hackman starts throwing out one-liners, and Will doesn't know, and Will's throwing out one-liners, like quotes, right? So it was pretty good back and forth banter between
there
the
was
two
some
of them.
good parts, with both of them. I just think he would have benefited from a better scene partner in some of these scenes, or another person that he was interacting with. But I like Hackman in this movie. I just think there's much better movies that they show his skill as an actor than this film, like, honestly. But this is actually his second time working with Tony Scott, I think, too. Like I said, he did Crimson Tide previous to this with them, which I think this was previous to this. And I really like it.
I don't know. I was just on his Tony Scott's page, but I didn't see what order it was in.
So that's my history with the movie, though. Revisiting it, I still enjoyed it. I think I've watched this movie probably several times at this point. I even watched it, I think, 2 or 3 times in preparation for this, because I think I watched it twice fully. And then I would come back and I would just watch certain scenes. Like, there was a couple of scenes I kind of ran back a couple of times in this movie, because, like I said, it just rips. You get to certain points of this film and it just goes, like, the action. As soon as Jason Lee drops that thing in his bag, we're off to the races. Yeah, in this movie. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting in that sense. So
it's just a Christmas movie up until then.
It's a Christmas movie through and through. In the Die Hard sense.
Not as it is mentioned.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, hey, and there's a cameo from A Christmas Tree. Don't worry, bro, it's in there. Right? I know it's mentioned, but there is a cameo with the Christmas tree, a scene with it. It's sitting right there. That's the only reason I realized it was Christmas. I forgot. I thought he was making a joke. Oh yeah, those are Christmas gifts, the kid. Yeah. I'm thinking, I don't see snow outside. How's it Christmas? But yeah, I mean, we get green Christmases up here, but yeah, no, it was I like I said, revisiting it was one thing. Probably watching it in the beginning, I would have probably been a lot more excited. Would I try to revisit it again? I don't know, maybe not, right? If I want to go to sleep.
Interesting.
Right? The problem is that the Gene Hackman parts come in when you start getting tired of the Will Smith, John Voight parts, right? Because when all of a sudden, I know with the Jason Lee, it gets a little exciting after that, but there's this weird gap in it that I find that kind of makes me want to doze off, right? And then Gene Hackman shows up, and that whole scenario,
like an hour in.
Yeah, and you're already an hour in. Now you're fucking you're kind of you're committed at this point, right? Because you're like, I'm not gonna turn it off an hour through. But I did fall asleep to it a couple times.
I like that they use him more sparingly in this film, though. It makes more sense for the character, like the allure of him showing up. But the problem is, I think they probably also like, you know, he's like, they probably promoted this film with the fact that he's in it, and then, like, you know, you don't get much Hackman in this, right? And so it's kind of, but you know, I like when they do that kind of stuff, like when sometimes they use somebody sparingly and then they knock it out of the park with a few scenes, right? I think that's smart sometimes of certain films to do it that way. And like if like I said, I talked about The Conversation on Late Night Letterbox recently, having watched that, the Francis Ford Coppola film. This, like I think I'd mentioned this even prior to us doing this movie. This is if that character is now older years later from this character in The Conversation. Like, I think that was a purposeful move on Tony Scott's part as well. Like, this isn't the same guy, but this is like a variation of the same guy that was in The Conversation. Because in The Conversation, he's somebody that is one of these dudes that is paid to spy on people and gather conversations and stuff like that, and through tape and the methods of like being able to get that stuff in that film, because it's like in the 70s, are so rudimentary compared to like the stuff in this movie, right? Like, it's like the technology is not where it's at. So it's very interesting to see, like, they were still like trying to do wiretaps and like mics, you know, within the vicinity of somebody, like having someone walk by with a mic on them and stuff like that in that movie. So to see him say like he dipped out in the 70s in this movie and went underground, and then pop back up and be like, here's my warehouse of all my shit in this movie. It's like that character, like, really just after the film of The Conversation went underground, and here he is again in this movie. So I actually really like that connection between the two. Actually, I definitely highly recommend checking that movie out. It's a much slower film though compared to this, because it's in the 70s, which they actually took their time to tell us some of their stories back then, more so than now. And it's not an action thriller like thrill ride like this movie. It's more of like a movie kind of analyzing paranoia. So it's very, very good.
So I read about like this tidbit about that, is that this movie is considered to be a sequel to The Conversation.
Yeah, see, it's the same type of character. It's not the same guy though. It's not. It's one of those like sequels but the photo of Brill that they pull up, that the NSA pulls up to like compare the security footage to like the NSA database, that's from The Conversation. That still that they use is from The Conversation. Oh, I don't even think I noticed that actually. Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Like the NSA pulls up, like when they're like, they do this cheesy fucking shot. They grab that security footage from the gas station and they compare it to like, there's like a skeleton and it's building like a fucking, like a face around a skeleton on the screen. But that's still that they pull up from the NSA stuff. That is it's a still like a screenshot from The Conversation.
I'm surprised I didn't notice that. I'll have to go back and look, because he's got a mustache in The Conversation too. Like, he's got a stash. Yeah. So,
and the glasses.
So The Conversation's in 74. So they say he dips out in 78 in this movie. He goes to Iran. He goes out, go after the Shah of Iran over there, Jay.
Yeah. He's coming after me.
As Max refers to you. So, and then they mentioned he goes underground. So that's kind of cool. This takes place, like, he fell off the radar a few years after the film The Conversation. I think it's one of those like spiritual sequels, right? Like, Julie, like,
it's like the fans and like the director considers it to be like a secret sequel type shit.
So those are the reasons why I like this film. Like, but I only learned about that recently. I'd never seen that movie. So when I learned that, I was like, oh, that makes this even cooler now as a result of them trying to continue this guy.
Like, just a little wink to the fans of his, probably, right? Yeah.
I love it. It's great.
I just think like something I got really stuck on. I could not take Jack Black seriously for any part of the movie. And like, I know that was kind of intentional, because he's supposed to be this fucking NSA goofball, but like it became so distracting, and I was like, fuck off, Jack Black. Like, this is, doing his Jack Black thing. But like, I do think like
over here.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that maid with her unshaved legs. I love that type of woman. That shit. Like, what the fuck? What is he's trying to like steal the main character moment,
That's what he does. You're over Jack Black and his comedy. I get it. You're like, oh yeah, I get it. Like you.
He felt a little misplaced to me because he is such a screen stealer, and I'm like, you're supposed to be this kind of background character. You're like, you're doing a little too much, right? But like the on-screen chemistry between Will Smith and Gene Hackman was really good to me. I liked it a lot. I know what you're saying though, that like Gene Hackman is like not even doing his best, and Will Smith's kind of struggling to fucking also maintain like dominance in a scene. But I liked their chemistry in scenes a lot.
Sure.
And all of the NSA goons and their fucking babbling was so goofy to me, because some of it now, like watching it now, fucking
James
30
Caan.
years later, like we know that it's kind of goofy. Like what they're saying is kind of like babble, and like at the time nobody was in tune enough with tech to be like, that's bullshit. But like,
Well,
so now to
yeah.
watch it, it's like kind of comedy. It's sort of campy. But, and I also kept getting bothered by the overuse of that satellite tracking soundbite, because it's the same one they use for all the weather equipment in Twister.
Okay. I didn't pick up on that. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why. That's just, it holds a place in my brain. So like, why does it occupy that spot that I'm like, that's that fucking sound from Twister? But the other thing I was really pissed off about was that it took Will Smith way too long to break a sweat in all of these fucking, like, he's climbing on the outside of a building to get away from all these NSA goons, and he's just pristine fucking, they're all sweating their asses off chasing him, and he's just regular ass Will Smith just killing it.
He's in shape. He's Will Smith.
I know he's in shape, but you're being chased by the government. They're trying to kill you. Like, he has to break into a hotel room, and he hasn't broken a sweat.
He's
So
calm.
I get what you're saying, Julie, but in the sense that, like I was saying earlier, that is one of those great action film tropes, is that this guy's supposed to be like an everyman. He's just a lawyer dude who isn't like a typical action star, the kind of guy, but yet he is performing all these feats because he's on the run.
What the fuck?
He's constantly like, we're like, whoa, he's good, this guy.
I guess we're just supposed to suspend disbelief. Like, I guess that's fine.
But
that's all the silly gripes that I had.
No, you're right. We did kind of, I guess, skirt over that, the likes and dislikes, because you're piggybacking off what you said. There's a couple of things I did want to mention as well. I thought I had mentioned it maybe in my ramble on the film itself there, but to your point, I think it's really smart how he used all these up and coming comedic people in here. You got Jamie Kennedy, you got Seth Green in this, you got Jack Black in this.
Seth Green doesn't even have a fucking. I was just looking at the main character, like the main cast there. I think he's not even listed.
He's never
like
credit.
Jack Black. No, I don't see him as a credit.
Todd, his lines and everything in this, though.
You would think so, right? But I didn't see him.
But I saw it.
But this is, again, like early in all of these guys' career, when they're kind of like doing a bunch of stuff at this time, but they really haven't blown up in that sense, like, you know what I mean, or like have gotten like to be like household names. So to go back and kind of watch this now and see all these like comedic actors that were popular in the day, and obviously some of them still are in the set, in the case of like, you know, Jack Black and stuff like that, not so much Jamie Kennedy or Seth Green now, or I would Scott Conn, I think James Conn, I think that's his son. He's in TV now. I believe he does a lot of TV, but he was in big movies after this. He was in
and Jake Busey too.
Yeah. He was in Ocean's 11. Like, he's in all those Ocean's movies with Casey Affleck, Scott Conn.
As he matured, he doesn't look like such that beach dude.
Well, it's the hair, right? It's the hair which they make fun of.
The size of his neck was so fucking distracting to me too. I was like, this guy's got a tree trunk for a neck. What the fuck?
Yeah, so like the cast is really good in this. That is one of my major likes in this, because it's amusing seeing. It's almost like he's like, yeah, I need some guys to like throw out some comedic lines. To your point, I think you needed somebody like a Jack Black in this to kind of keep some of those scenes funny. Yeah, because it was like a little bit, it was too technical. I think he didn't want to get
was dragging on.
Technical. Yeah, exactly. You needed those little one-liners peppered in. Like, I actually have a lot of quotes written down there are just like all one-liners that I liked in this film. Like, how's the guys just like cooking, just throwing lines out there, right? I liked it because all these guys, like, again, this is just an interesting part of their career. Also, there's so many like big, like interesting character actors in this that literally are only in one scene in this film. Like Anna Gunn, who's like in Breaking Bad,
the trophy wife.
Yeah, who does nothing, complains to him on the phone in one scene about the credit card, and in another scene she's like in the living room on her computer or something talking about, I don't know.
You should have been the congressman. Yeah, you should have been congressman years ago.
Right,
Like,
right. So it's just
And Jason
trophy
Lee is like here and gone, and fucking.
Love Jason Lee though. I love Jason Lee. Jason Lee for me at this time was huge though because he was in the Kevin Smith movies. Like for me, I was like, oh shit, this is before My Name Is Earl too, which was a big success for him, right? Which I've never watched.
Yeah,
right? That was like a big vehicle for him, right? But I like Jason Lee. So the Jason Lee part's awesome. Actually, I love his part in this film. I think it's interesting again seeing him in this role.
Different style though, yeah, different style of role than he's usually used to play.
Yeah,
right?
you don't see him in action films. Yeah, that's
No,
why.
that's why he just ran and just they had to finish him off quick because it's like okay, it's getting boring, buddy. No, but and these guys too, they're all young in their careers and they're looking up to some big name actors here, like John Voight and fucking Gene Hackman and even Will Smith, I think.
Tom Sizemore's in it. He's the gangster guy that he meets with at the start.
Oh, yeah.
I know me and I'm actually disappointed Max isn't here because of course we're a big fan of him.
You guys would blow those fucking lines, the eggplant and all that crap.
He's in Heat, right? So he's in Heat, Tom Sizemore, and he has that classic line. He's like, for me, he takes like a drag of his cigarette. The action is the juice. He's just fucking sweating in this movie. I don't know why.
He was so sweaty. He was eating and just sweating. I made a comment about that when we were watching. I was like, why is he sweating so much while they're having dinner?
At the start, whenever he's eating, he just needs to sweat. No one else is sweating in the restaurant.
No, not at all.
I think this guy was like going through what do you call it, like DTs or whatever they're called. What's that? Like
withdrawal.
Withdrawals,
like or something. Because he has a known history of some shit like that too. Maybe that is what was going on.
Maybe they sprayed him down. Maybe they sprayed him down. Maybe it was part of the role because he's a little paranoid there at that scene too, right? Because now he knows, Rob's on Will Smith's on him, right?
So, yeah. So for me, like that. He's like chopping it up with like literally like half of the side characters from The Sopranos in that scene. Like it's just there's a lot of Sopranos guys in this movie too. So like that kind of stuff, when I go back and rewatch these movies, I take great joy clearly in that stuff. Like seeing that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, fucking Tom Sizemore, because he died too, right? He also is. There's a lot of guys that aren't alive anymore in this film. Did John Voight die or no? No, he was just in your
he's still alive.
Yeah, he's was just in that your movie Megalopolis, of course. Let's not forget.
Man, he looked about the same that he did in this movie, and this is 30 years later.
He had the best line of 2024. Check out this boner.
Yeah, check it exactly, bro. There you go. You know what? At his age, he could get away with that now. He's probably going a little senile, but yeah.
That stuff, the action tropes, those are the things I really like. Dislikes, I don't know. Like there was, like I said, some of the stuff, obviously the technology stuff in it hasn't aged well. And then, there was some other stuff too. Like I actually found some like holes in the plot this time around that I probably just didn't care enough about in previous watches because I wasn't analyzing it or reviewing it like we do on this show. So there's some plot stuff that's a little fast and loose, let's say, in this film. And at the end of the day, I don't really know if this guy in this government, this politician, would actually go as far as he did in this film, because John Voight he's hardcore in this movie. I don't know like what this guy was thinking. I also don't know like how loyal all these people would be to John Voight to the point where they're willing to get killed and also go to prison for like the rest of their lives in this movie.
Yeah.
Like the whole idea, like, I don't know, like, and then it seemed like every time like these things got brought up, he would just go into like some sort of like right-wing like rant of some sort, like about privacy and like, you know what I mean, like the American people and fucking, the crime out on the street and this going on and fucking, you know what I mean, like I can see some politicians ranting about like that today. Immigrants and but like, no, seriously, like that's like whenever he goes on these rants, I'm just like, are you even making a point, dude?
Well, he did in the beginning call the other guy that he killed there at liberal views are more like, yeah. So when it came to the privacy, right?
Liberal hysteria or whatever the fuck he says. Yeah. Like he's basically saying like, you're, come on, calm down over there. Right. He's like, this is, this is America. Like, we need to smile at each other.
Yeah.
Like, it just, I don't know. Like, I get the point he was trying to make because I feel like we're aware of the things that have gone on since then. But I don't think this movie really delivered that message in a good way, really. Because, and then also, like, Will Smith's character is a little flimsy because he seems to be like, hey, I believe in the law and, I'm a good lawyer and blah, blah, blah. But, like, he's also getting these tapes monitoring these people and using them as leverage against gangsters. Like, how stupid is he? He literally goes into that meeting trying to, like, show off how smart he is. He's like, hey, look at you on this videotape, Tom Sizemore. He's like, where the hell did you get this? I'm going to kill you. He's like, whoa. He has no other plan. He literally
nothing.
A restaurant owned by gangsters and thinks that he's just going to talk his way out of it. They're just going to be like, okay, all right, we give up. How stupid is he?
Kind of shoddy plan, yeah.
I love how it all came together, but honestly, so dumb. Stupidest fucking plan.
Elegant, and what did he say? What's the word? An elegant way, or elegantly speaking, or what the fuck was the word?
Eloquent or elegant?
Eloquently, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The way they did it, and then they're both exchanging words there. That was pretty crazy too.
Well, yeah, he clearly throws around the fact that he is a smart person, but then he proceeds to make so many stupid errors in judgment throughout this film, and that's why there's that great back and forth between Gene Hackman. He's like, you're either incredibly stupid or incredibly smart, like he keeps telling him, because like literally every move that happens you can trace back to his fuck up. The reason Rachel got killed, the reason that they tracked them down because this guy went and used a payphone when they're on the run. Like, what are you thinking, dude? Like, even back then you would think you'd be a little bit smarter about how people are monitoring you.
You would think that the paranoia would come to mind first.
And even Jason Lee, see, now I'm just going on a tirade of gripes I had about the film. But then even Jason Lee, this guy's like juiced into the community. Like he knows a guy literally. He gets on, and even that guy, like, why would you get on the phone and admit that you have this tape to somebody? Like, how
all of a sudden, I love how they show through the line, the telephone line. They pick it up, like the fucking his talk, his voice. Like, but I mean, maybe they just were naive to believe that they actually still had that type of security out there too. In that sense, right?
That's fair. But I just think like it seemed like he was in like the know of this kind of stuff, and yet he gets on the phone directly after suffering this, as he's like copying the tape, being like, "Hey, dude, I got this tape of somebody killing the congressman."
I don't even think he realized that how much. Like, I think he was just going to sell it for good money, right? Like, that's all he was going to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you get the guys knocking on the door there, you start to think like, oh, okay.
No.
She knew it was them, but then she looked through that thing.
No, this guy literally was like an anti-government guy. They said that he's somebody that writes a bunch of liberal left-wing newsletter type stuff, bashing the government and stuff like that. So this guy knows about what's going on. It's not like he doesn't know. Like, that's why he knew to run. Like, he knew they were there, like, for him. It's not like he just went and answered the door. Like, he knew, like, I need to get this tape over to this guy or they're gonna kill me. Yet he gets on the phone. That's what I don't understand. It's just like his logic just went out the window, it seems like, in that scene, right? But I get it. Like, he was like freaking out that he had this piece
on the run,
So those are my gripes in terms of like some of the plot stuff in this movie. But if you embrace it in terms of like it's a nonstop action kind of thrill ride action film, you can really gloss over a lot of that stuff. Like, it's not imperative to the plot. Like, it's almost like the only way I would talk about this is on this show. Let's say I wouldn't like. Sometimes when you watch the movies though, you see stuff like come on, this would never happen, right? Like, I get it.
Right.
So.
But no, nowadays we're like, oh, this will happen. This is happening right now. Like, that's what I mean. I had that different view of it this time too, right? So it was it's weird because that they've already passed that technology that they're using here.
Yeah,
and who knows how much further they are ahead, and we have no idea. But we don't need to get into that conspiracy either. Otherwise, we can go down that rabbit hole forever. But how about we hit
let's not get into it. They're scrutinizing us at the border for shit like that already. We're talking about it, so let's not.
Yeah. I don't need them pulling up Late Night Chat Network. Julie has to go back to Florida, Jay, okay? Watch.
Yeah.
I've already scrubbed through my conversations to see if I've talked shit And it's not me. It's you guys in the group chat.
Hey,
You seriously have?
I have. I scrubbed through my chats because I'm like, fuck, they're gonna take my phone. They're gonna look through, and it's not me talking shit. It's you guys.
Oh yeah, of course. We're always talking shit about that kind of
I
stuff.
know. And I'm like,
You're like
whatever. I have plausible deniability. I'm like, they're not. It's not me. I didn't say it.
Yeah, clearly I don't talk in this group chat. Look,
I don't participate in this. Look at my
Hey, look, I'm wearing blue. I mean,
Yeah.
wearing red. Sorry, no. But at the
Go
end
ahead
of the
with
day,
Jane. Yeah.
yeah, I say we start up with scenes because there is there's a lot of big scenes and a lot of quick little guys going on in there, and
I
it's
just
kind
have
of crazy.
two.
I mean, you just have two. I mean, I honestly, I think that's what. Okay, the first scene, the opening scene where they kill the congressman, that one really spoke out to me because they had a little one-on-one there, and I think that's where my mind went into the political part of it, right? And I think that's probably why the rest kind of fell by the side because I was trying to play along with it in my head. But when John Voight's character and what the fuck is that guy's name? He's I have him on
Oh, the
here.
congressman? I don't know the actor's name.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. I just can't remember the fuck his name is now, right at the top of my head. But yeah, he's
Stuart
only
Wilson's the actor's name. He plays Congressman Albert. Oh no, is that somebody else? No, that's him. Yeah,
that's him. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, when they're sitting there talking, and then they kind of throw off something of what's going on down there, kind of in a right now, which kind of caught my attention and threw it off guard. I think is like fuck, it's almost like listening to the news, but they were talking about how they're the most powerful country in the world, right? And the other one, yeah, what's his name? You said his name again? I just totally forgot.
Stuart Wilson.
Oh, the congressman. Yeah, just say the congressman.
The congressman, yeah, when he said national security is not the only thing. Like it's not the only thing that's going on in the country. Like there's a lot of other stuff too. But I mean, at the end of the day, really, national security is where you kind of want it. So I get what they're saying, but in that point too, in that same opening scene, you're like, okay, this is where now you see two sides collide in a sense, right? And you're starting to see basically kind of in a scenario that we're living to this day now, in a sense, right? But
his name also is Congressman Philip Hammersley. Sorry, Jay.
So that's not even him.
No, that's a different congressman that's in this movie. I think he's the one that speaks on the TV that's advocating for what they're trying to do. He's got like a minor. Oh, he's the one that they framed with the woman that was having sex with him, the aide. Yeah, that's who I mentioned. That's that Wilson guy.
That congressman, yeah.
Yeah, this guy's Jason Robards, who plays Congressman Philip Hammersley, who's uncredited in this film, but he's the one that he's a big actor, been lots of things. He was the one who's at the start of the film that gets killed by John Boyd. Sorry, I just wanted to credit him with the yeah, Hammersley. He's the guy that gets killed.
But yeah, they play that scene out and it rolls right into the credit. I mean, he obviously says he's not going to sign the thing. He's not going to get his vote, basically. So, Buddy gets him. John Voight gets him killed there. And just, they take care of it and they put a some sort of drug in his neck and kill him that way, and then set him up and frame him, right, and dump it in the lake, which is always cool to watch. A car getting submerged underwater. I don't know. I've always found that interesting. I never want to be in one, but yeah, I've always found that interesting. And then it rolls out right into the opening credits, right? Which is really cool because they start showing all those different footage
from different surveillance cameras. Yeah.
Different styles. And we know, I mean, okay, in 98, they had up to a certain point, right? We know that it probably looks 100 times better than that right now. We get that kind of footage just on our phone alone when you're looking on Google Maps or something, right? But at the end of the day, that was pretty crazy when you think about it. It was just a well played out opening to the movie, so I kind of like that. But I think it might have really distracted me from the whole style of movie this was going to be, right? Like I said, instead of looking at it as more as an action, I started thinking it more political too.
Yeah,
which kind of fucks with your head.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that one was a great scene, like just the way they rolled it out, right?
Yeah.
Nothing too extravagant, just kind of you getting your toes wet for what's happening next, just about to
Right.
happen next. Basically, checking the water, right? Literally. I mean, the fucking guy checked the water with his car, but yeah, I enjoyed that part of it, at least for one of my scenes. Right? I don't know how about you, any of you guys, which ones you get.
Well, Julie's got two if she wants to go ahead. She's got a couple.
Yeah.
She's only.
I think so. Like, I think my favorite overall scene is it's a long sequence, but it's like from when they're backing the El Camino into the storage container at the train yard, like through that entire sequence of like blowing up his stronghold, to the chase through the train yard, to they end up between the trains, to they hijack some guy's car to do the getaway. Like that whole sequence I really like.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that I wrote down, just because it was so unintentionally funny, like it was so slapstick for no reason, I think just because it feels like it comes out of nowhere because it's in the middle of that chase, is when Jason Lee gets smoked by that fire truck. Parth and I were laughing so fucking hard because it just seems like it comes out of nowhere and smokes him so hard.
Yeah, he's like literally in midair when he gets smoked too.
Yeah.
He
He does like this fucking BMX bike move, and then it's just like, and he's squashed. And
Yeah.
it was so funny, but like also like just really jarring, I think. But that's all I wrote down.
Then Will Smith runs up and he's like, "What happened?" And some lady's like, "Some guy got creamed."
Yeah.
But you know, there was like a little goof in that scene, if you noticed.
And he's like, damn. Like,
it was kind of like
What?
a little goof in that scene. I thought he was more like when they had the footage from now that I'm thinking about the scene, when they're looking from up the aerial view, because they had the footage at one point, they show it like they're showing them running, and they see it from, he goes, oh, and he's down permanently, right, or whatever. But
yeah,
it almost showed like he was kind of like exploded at one part, and then when they go,
he got run over.
No, but they're trying to look for the thing. They're trying to look for the
look at the Game Boy thing.
Yeah. Then he was all one person. Like it literally when the fire truck hit him, I thought he basically exploded where the fire truck would have.
No, it almost looks like his head's been squashed or something from that aerial shot, like that he's been run over, but like his body seemed to be all together. The other part that had me giggling, like leading up to the actual part where he gets creamed, was the fucking when he's biking the wrong way down the on-ramp. It's just the quick shots are too long, like just long enough that you can see that it's a stunt double and it's not Jason Lee. Like he's trying really hard to like cover his face with his shoulder, and I was like, oh, they tried so hard, but that's not him.
There's so
like,
many movies.
So we were already kind of giggling about that, and then I was like, holy fuck, he really got smoked.
I wonder how they do that, like with full traffic and everything going on in like a big city.
It's very coordinated. They would have closed the street off like it was a whole thing.
And then park a bunch of cars there like you're really driving and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
have
fucking
you not
nuts.
seen them set things like that up downtown, Jay?
They do that, yeah.
Oh, I I'm not as close to it as you are, but I mean, if I want, I don't know when they do it. Like they do it at weird times too. I know they film stuff at weird times.
Middle of the night, a lot of the time.
Like daytime, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's too bad they didn't get Jason Lee to jump on a skateboard, because he was a skateboarder back then before he when he started doing when he started doing stuff with Kevin Smith and stuff, he was like a professional skateboarder, right? Like he could have just jumped on a board and did some shit, baby, right? Like ride the rail or something as he gets away. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
That sequence there, that whole with the
I had that one too. Yeah, that's a good one. I also had like Julie just mentioned, the Jason Lee chase scene. The Jason Lee chase scene is one of my favorite scenes of this movie. But yeah, like not even just the ending of the bus, but the whole kind of sequence of him running away there and getting chased, I thought was good. As well as the opening of him showing up and meeting the mobsters, which I mentioned earlier already, with Tom Sizemore just dripping buckets of sweat. even the end showdown of everybody kind of meeting and having that huge shootout at the end, I really like, just because John Boyd and him are yelling at each other, and they're obviously talking about opposite, reasonings as to why they're there in videotapes. And I liked how Will Smith was able to kind of work that out and bring these two situations together with the FBI watching it all go down. I actually thought that worked out very well, like the way the story came together. in that sense. I remember the first time I watched that, I was really impressed by this when I watched this when I was younger. I was like, oh man, how did everything come together, come to a head like that, right? Because
came like full circle.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot, like how they kind of connected, because you almost forget about that plot. Like he obviously mentions the mobsters throughout the film because he thinks that Pantero is the one that's doing this shit to him. Yeah, but like I like how they kind of he was able to, you know, get two birds stoned at once, Jay, as
Ricky would say.
Yeah. But also the scene when Jason Lee goes to drop the tape with Will Smith buying lingerie is so fucking funny. It's so that actress. I don't know if that's like just a straight up model, that one that's in that scene with him. I didn't actually look up her name. She's actually really good. The way she's reacting to him, where he's like, "Oh, I don't know
the right dress size though."
Yeah. I just like how she's like, yeah. Like he's like, oh, I didn't want to look like an idiot. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's like, I'm married. That's okay. Like just her reaction, the way that those two are playing off each other is excellent. I laugh every time that scene happens, because he's like a lot of guys that go into those situations that doesn't know anything about, like, you know, buying lingerie for his woman.
Well,
right?
I want to know, is that really like when you go into a lingerie store, what it looks like when you have, are they half naked on the sales
I had
floor?
that in my questions.
Fuck, man. Yeah, like,
because when Jason Lee drops the bag, he's like, help me, and he turns around and Will Smith's like, can you give me a minute? This girl comes out.
Yeah.
He said nothing. They're literally like, there's like two of them just standing there like drop dead gorgeous underwear models. If you have more, I got a couple more too, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna tag along on you with that. I mean, who doesn't like that scene with the fucking at the lingerie store?
I just found it very funny. I think it was hilarious.
I can even eliminate the whole Jason Lee part. Like I get that whole sequence, but I mean, I can eliminate that whole part just for having Will Smith being like so awkwardly out of place in this, just to see his facial expressions and the way he's talking and he's nervous and he's like it really, I did enjoy that part of it, right? You know, there's a lot of things that these guys do with facial expressions, a lot of these actors in these scenes, that if you pick up on them, it makes it so much more enticing in that sense, right?
No, but the woman though playing opposite of him is equally good in that scene. That's what I'm trying to say. Like she's very.
Like, she's almost like he was nervous around her. Yeah,
I haven't seen someone blush like that since Clark Griswold in Christmas Vacation at the counter. Honestly,
it's Clark Griswold. I can't even speak right now.
Yeah,
tongue twisted. I just seen a meme of him. That's why I was thinking that. Oh man. But
you got another one?
Go on.
I was gonna say, I also really like the montage of Brill preparing to strike back against the agents, and he gives that whole guerrilla warfare speech, and he talks about how you use your weapons against them. He's like, if they're big, you're small. You know, that whole thing. Like he's like, if they're exposed, you gotta hide or whatever. I forget. He like has this whole speech about like in the agency when he used to work for them, like they gotta like in like, you know, Vietnam or whatever. Like you gotta basically do the guerrilla warfare thing where you take their supplies and use it against them. So like he sets up all those gadgets to spy and mess up John Voight's life as a result of like them striking back against them, and they kind of get it on the radar of the actual other congressman who ends up taking it to his boss and stuff like that. So that whole speech he gives, and when they kind of really, you know, take a run for them at the end there, I think like that's when John Voight is like really at his best in this movie, is when like he actually has that conversation with him about Rachel, like, and his past and who he was. And those are the moments where I'm just like, I feel like Will Smith is like struggling to keep up with him in these moments, just because his character doesn't really have much to say. And he's kind of playing like an idiot, even though like we mentioned, he is a smart person, but he is just not part of this world. So there's a lot of moments in this movie where Brill is trying to tell him stuff, even like what they're going to do at the end. And he's like, you get all that? He's like, nope. He's just like, right. Like he's trying to tell him how they're going to, this is the signal and this is what I'm going to do. And it's just going right over Will Smith's head. Like, cause he doesn't know yet other times he like goes above and beyond and does all this crazy shit, like you said, like jumping out of windows, scaling buildings, and so it's hard to like really peg him down as a capable character or somebody who isn't that capable in this film. Like, right? Like he kind of steps up when he needs to. It seems like. So
Will Smith.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that I think is also that attorney part in him too, right? Where he plays that fly sort of eggplant of an attorney, as he calls himself, right?
Yeah.
But not a shyster. That's it. You can't call him a shyster.
You're stepping on quotes, man. What are you doing?
I know. But the problem is, in a lot of the scenes, there's a lot of quotes, like quotable lines too, right?
Yeah.
Between the conversations between people. Like, I mean, I like the scene where the cops where it was Barry Pepper, the actor Barry Pepper, which is the cop. They come to his house when they figure out that he might have something in the shopping bag that he might have something sensitive material, and he kind of lets them in, and they're sitting there talking about it, and they want to check it, and they said no, without a warrant and all that stuff. That roll out there in that scene, I think played out perfectly, and especially like the quotes that were in. There was a couple of good quotes in that one about the cross dressing and stuff. But I don't want to get into that right now. We'll save that one for after. But
that's an improvised line.
Really?
Yeah.
That was fucking good though.
He improv that line. I was reading that earlier.
That was actually that was pretty witty. That was really good. If he just came up with that at the top, it is Will Smith. Yeah. He can have those corny style jokes, right? I mean, I could get it, right? But
like I said, he's got charisma, man. He's got chops. Like he kind of like he obviously back then, like he was very likable in all these roles, and that's kind of like what became his goal, which I feel was ultimately why I didn't like as many roles as he took on afterwards, right? Because he didn't really go outside of what you expected him to do, and you know what I mean? Like he didn't take chances, let's say. Like for instance, there's a story that he was taken. I think Tarantino has talked about this himself. I think he's verified this. He was in talks to be in Django Unchained, but he didn't want to be that character because of obviously the slavery stuff in it, right? But I think something like that would have been really cool if he played that character, right? Like it's but that's an edgy role, let's say, for Will Smith, right? Like, and then obviously he went to Jamie Foxx, who did a great job in Django Unchained. So I just think it's interesting that like there's things like that passed him by, maybe because of whatever image he's trying to put out there of himself, right? But that's fair. I mean, that's his choice, whatever. But I mean, to turn down a Tarantino film, that's pretty crazy to me. So I don't know. That's
nobody just turns down a Tarantino film. Like,
I mean, people want to work with him. They don't not want to work with him. It seems crazy to me that he wouldn't want to be the lead role in that film, right? But I mean, I get it. I also put down, this is actually kind of a nitpick as well. It's a trope of these films, though, which I always love when they do this. The enhanced security footage scene with Jack Black when they are like enhance that image, and they're doing shit that like isn't even possible. They're like the shadow variants of what could be in this bag. We're gonna
hypothesize, yeah. Like fuck. Can we rotate the camera at 360 degrees?
Can you get in behind with this view? Yeah, sure. Hold on. Let me just.
Yeah, the camera's just moving. Like.
I was also mad about that. He was like, turn that 75 degrees, and then it makes a 180. And I'm like, okay, you didn't even get the math right, dude.
Oh, like, it was, I can understand the technology.
Hold on a second.
I can see where see where the hypothesis could be too, right? Like I could still see it, right? Like you could guess it, yeah, but you're never gonna fucking know for real. I mean, there's probably an AI program out there now that could do something like that and just hypothesize on what the hell's on the other side.
It's so ridiculous though. Like, yes, okay, you can tell the bag may have expanded, but how the fuck are you supposed to know what's in the bag? Like,
there's all those women that are half naked in that footage, and yet they're looking at the bag. That's what caught their attention.
I just think it's crazy. And it never fails one of those enhanced scenes where we were like, let's do something these cameras are not possible. It's not even possible for us to do on these cameras. The security store camera in a fucking lingerie store. All right, we're gonna move this around. I loved it though. I love it. It's such a trope. Like I like I'm like, oh, you gotta have one of those scenes every time. One of those, you gotta enhance the image, right? Or they pick up on some detail in the background that they never. It's great stuff.
It's corny, but it's cool, man. Like, I mean, that's kind of almost like that Fresh Prince of Bel Air coming out in this fucking movie here. Like that style, style movie, like show, like it's just funny, like you said, trope in a sense.
Yeah.
And then finally I got the Brill and Will Smith when they meet on the rooftop and Will has to run away, like his chase down. Like that's great stuff too, with him going in the tunnels, him going inside that utilities closet and starting the fire so they can come in and grab him in the ambulance, for him to steal the gun from the ambulance and run into the tunnels. Like that whole chase of him, like, stripping in the hotel room, and that Asian woman, like, ooh, he's like taking off his belt.
Oh yeah, Miss Wu over there, she was having a blast, dude. She was having a blast.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, but that again, there's like such a stretch there where it's hard to kind of like, like that's like 15 minutes of the movie, that whole thing, right? 20 minutes, maybe, that whole scene. So it's hard to say individual moments, right? So, but that's good stuff. I like it.
Well, even the one where he meets Gabriel Bryan, the first Brill, how he's trying to first track him down, and he gets scooped up by him, and
the fake Brill, yeah.
Fake Brill, right? Yeah, they still called him Brill. So, like, I couldn't figure out what his name, even as a thing here, it's still called.
Well, he worked for the agency. That was like them trying to like suss him out, like
send him in. Yeah,
it was like their bait and switch. Yeah,
I thought, but I didn't know.
No,
they were watching him that good.
That's
right?
why he only exposed one of their chips that they put on him, right? He purposely revealed one in his shoe.
I thought about that. I was like, if he was a real Brill, he was going to know everything. Like,
that's why when the real Brill intercepts him, like, he has to basically follow him after that, because he's like, did you call him Brill, or did he call himself Brill? And he's like, fuck, I did. That's why they tricked him, right? Like, into
because that's what I mean. And then that scene, that right through that scene when they get hit by the real Brill from behind. And that whole taxi scene that where it smashes, where it enters the intersection, gets smashed up, the taxi, everything that spins around, fucking Will Smith, catching the first glimpse of Gene Hackman
right
in the corner of his eye, and just watching him. It was like that slow-mo scene, where it just went slow-mo, and that was like the first time you got to see a shot of him, and then you start to see where he comes from after, right?
Shame on us, we're giving short shrift to a huge part in this, which is Lisa Bonet, for the second time on this show. We just talked about her on High Fidelity in the last couple of months, right? Oh my God. Totally believable that she cheat. Oh yeah, he was in that too. Yeah, totally believable he would cheat on his wife with Lisa Bonet, right? I mean, that tracks. Like, I'm sorry, like Regina King or whatever, his wife in this, she's great, but I
just the chick from Boys in the Hood, right?
Regina King, yeah, she is in that. I think you're right. Yeah, she's been lots of things. I like her, but I mean, it's Lisa Bonet. It actually makes a lot of sense that he would have cheated on her with him. Like, I get it with her. I get it. It actually, again, like, you don't see Will Smith like do it like looking that unfavorably in roles anymore. I feel like, in that sense, right? I don't know. Like, I like that he cheated on her in a way in this movie. Like, it's like a real life. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's almost like his life.
There's something to the character, like, in addition to everything else. Like, it's like a weird part of this history and past they don't really, they kind of get into throughout the film, but then she kind of gets taken out, like, off screen, which I never love. Like, I don't like when people just get killed for no reason like that and they don't even show it. Like, that was kind of dumb. Like, I didn't like that.
They said there's actual another footage where 7 minutes of it was
they cut it out.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be her. It was a more bloodier crime scene.
Oh, they should have kept that in. I think that would have worked, because it was like almost like they gave her short shrift. They're like, oh yeah, whatever, we're done with this character, right? Like, that was the whole reason Hackman cared so much.
Yeah, no, I read that, and that's why I was thinking. I was like, okay, there's about 7 minutes. There was an extended version, so I don't know if anybody, but it was supposed to be part of that with her. What do you call it?
Does that say that on IMDb? Is that where you're reading that? Or?
I was reading it from there. I took it from there, right?
Yeah.
So they took about 5 to 7 after watching special features in action. I often this is just somebody's review.
Maybe they thought it was like a lull in the story or something, because like they would have put that right in between all those action sequences, right? So I get it.
Yeah.
Like I guess it makes sense, but I think that would have been more important to why Gene Hackman, like when Gene Hackman tells his story about how she used to be friends with her father in the agency, it made sense like why he would have cared that much, right? So
yeah.
Anyways,
That was yeah. It was just weird. They could have alternate versions footage, like exposition shorts of the senator and his secretary, and then Dean finding his dead ex-girlfriend covered in blood. Those were parts that were taken out. Like, so, and the congressman at the end there.
yeah,
they they kind of Will was filming. Rob was, for whatever you want to call him, Rob or Will, whatever you want to call him right now. But that he was filming and to have something on him, or Brill was filming him and Brill. So yeah, I would have liked to see that. I mean, but there really was not much blood in this movie, right? So it wasn't really one of those bloody, gory movies. So maybe that's why they took that part out. Yeah, when they first meet, that's probably one of my favorite scenes, when they first get the first interaction. Him and Gene Hackman.
Yeah,
Will Smith. I think that was probably one of my favorite scenes, just to see how it plays out. And
yeah,
then,
like
I mean,
Julie said, seeing them together was good.
I feel like when I dozed off, I missed the whole second part of the movie, which kind of gets you exhilarated again, like, because the Gene Hackman and him, they played it off really well together. And Gene Hackman made it look like it was just an everyday stroll into the office, right, where like you said, Will Smith had to kind of come in step two, like, hey, listen, if I want to be this kind of actor
like, not to say he did a bad job, because like we were all saying, I just think this was like a paycheck for him. Like, honestly, I don't think this was, because also this is not him in lead role either, right? So I think it's just like,
and he's still, at this point, he was in his 60s or late 60s, or in the mid 60s or something, at least, right?
This is coming to the part of his career where he retires. Yeah, this is
Who, John Voight?
No, Gene Hackman.
Oh, sorry.
Because shortly after this, he doesn't act that much longer. I feel like after this, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think he does.
No, I don't think he has much films after this one. I mean, he has a few.
Like Welcome to Mooseport or whatever is his last movie, which I don't know what year that was in, but I think that's like the last one he did. I looked into this before, but I'll look into it. But if you want to go ahead, if you're done with scenes, maybe get into quotes. I'll look it up while you're talking.
Well, one of my favorite quotes was that whole fucking segment line there when he's talking to the cops. That's what I was dying to say, right? He goes, no, I was picking, because they asked him if he was, getting, if he was getting something for Rachel, right? At the lingerie store, you getting something? Sorry, they was asking, are you getting something for your wife? And he goes, no, I was picking up something for myself. I do a little cross dressing on the weekends, like. You'd be surprised how a nice pair of edible panties makes a guy feel sexy.
Yeah.
He said,
that was good.
Honestly, man, like no
off the dome.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. After this, he did still like 8 movies after this, but he retired in 2004 though. So that's only like 6 years after this. So this is kind of like the tail end of his career here when he does this movie. So yeah, and I would argue that, like, some of the films too that came after this, again, he's not like the lead role in. So it's kind of like these are the type of parts he's doing now, where it's like legacy stuff. Like, let's get Gene Hackman for this, you know what I mean? And he's like in like a juicy kind of cameo of some sort, right? So yeah, it's good.
And you still got to pay him the big bucks because he's that actor already.
Yeah, exactly.
And at that point, you're starting to pay Will Smith big bucks because he's getting into his prime, right? His career. So, yeah, it's like, okay, what do we do now? Now there goes half the budget. Let's get all these low new actors that want to become actors, right?
Here, my favorite quote of the whole film is when the lawyers, his firm, bring him in and they ask him about Rachel. He's like, "Tell us about Rachel Banks." This is one of my favorite Will Smith moments. Never mind this movie. He's like, did you have an affair with her 4 years ago? He's like, you ever beat off in the shower? You ever have homosexual thoughts? Robert, that's none of my fucking business. You're damn right it's not. I love my son and I love my wife absolutely with no equivocation. This is when he like overacts the hell out of this scene though. He's like yelling, like, right? But it's great. I love it. And then he's like, And that's not
Doing
your
it calmly, too.
business either. Great stuff. That you ever beat off in the shower? I'm just like, what? Was that off the dome too? Because if it was, that's it.
That I didn't find, but I had that one written down too.
Those could be like improv lines. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, just when somebody says something stupid, you answer them with a stupid reply. And if he's got that in his head, in his back pocket, why not throw it out there?
Whoever wrote that line of dialogue should win an award.
Just for that line, eh?
The funniest retort I've ever heard. You ever beat off in the shower? You ever have homosexual? How about you, Julie?
I wrote down both of those ones that you guys said, but then the other two that were just like funny lines, they hit just right and they made me laugh. It was the first time Pintero was like, "Listen to me, you fucking eggplant." That something about that setup was so goddamn funny.
Yeah.
Is that actually a slur, or did the movie make this up?
No, that's a thing. That's a thing.
What is the connotation? I don't understand.
I think it's supposed to mean
big schlong.
What?
That's right. Sorry, that was my interpretation of it. Because, yeah,
I didn't hear it.
Big schlong.
Oh, they have a big schlong. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's unfamiliar to me. So that one was fucking funny. And then when they
up and big at the bottom, I don't know. Who knows? Could be.
I don't know. I'll have to look into it. And the other one, when they hijack that guy's car, when Gene Hackman stops that guy and makes him get out of the car, and the guy's like, "Oh, please, whatever." He's like, please don't do this." And he's like, "Yeah, tell your story walking, buddy." That was funny. But yeah, the only other two I written down are those ones that you guys said, like the beating off in the shower and the edible panties making the guy feel sexy.
No, Jay, the eggplant thing is for Italians, the moulignon. You know how like they always say that black people? That's what eggplant is. That's why he's calling him a fucking eggplant, because in like gangsters, like Italian gangsters in these shows, like The Sopranos, that's what they call black people, but they don't say eggplant. They say it in Italian, so that's okay. Why, that's why I was just gonna let Jay talk about his big dick comment there. I was like, all right, whatever. That's what you think it is.
Yeah, just let it fly.
The eggplant emoji, bro. Like, calm down over there. You're Italian. You should know that.
Imposter.
I mean, I thought it was Moulion or whatever. I don't know. I thought it was all kinds.
It is. Yeah, but that's what it means, right? That's why they always say Moulignon, right? Like, but that's eggplant, right? Italian, right? I think that's what the guys.
So. Yeah, right. You know more Italian than me, bro. I don't
know. That's it's derived from that word if it doesn't exactly translate to that, because I think that's why instead of calling him that, they were just calling him a straight up eggplant, because all the gangsters, that's what they call black people in Moulignons, right? So, but the but in relation to that though, is the line that Jay alluded to earlier, is where he goes back to ask them for help. And he's like, Mr. Pintero would like to help you, but he won't. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on shyster lawyers like you because of shyster lawyers just like you. He's like, actually, I believe the slur shyster is generally reserved for Jewish attorneys. I believe the proper slur for someone like myself is eggplant. He's like, boom, this kid gets smarter every time I see it, or brighter every time I see it. And that dude is one of Tony Soprano's main guys at the end of The Sopranos. That guy that's sitting there, he's one of the main, like, he's always in the family, but he gets a more prominent role as this show goes on. He's like one of the main head dudes at the end of the series. Essentially, that guy who's sitting there, that scene. So again, seeing him in this movie is pretty entertaining from that aspect as well. So. But that's that line reading. There's some great line readings by Will Smith in this. Like, he delivers some great funny lines in this movie. So.
Here's the fact check. Italian immigrants would call black people moulignons because the color of the skin matches the color of the eggplants, considered a racial epithet. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I learned something new today.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
I learned something new too.
Yeah. Now we know.
Know what I meant.
There you go. There's another word for your vocabulary there, Jay.
I was gonna say don't log that one anywhere. Good Lord.
No, what about John Voight? When he's doing all these things to try to save his ass, and he goes, "I hate doing this at Christmas." Like, just the way you play it off, right? Like that was just.
They dropped the Christmas thing too many times to not notice. That's what I've been. That's how I felt.
Yeah, 'cause it's the moment where he goes to meet Rachel, and she's like, "I thought you said so and so on the dot." He's like, Christmas traffic.
Yeah. And like there's like Christmas decorations and shit. They're hiding like little wiretaps in the fucking Christmas tree. And like it's like a background plot point in so many different parts that I'm like, I guess it must have come out at Christmas time. Yeah.
Seth Green, when he's like, "You guys from communications?" Scott Cod, he's like, "No, we're ops." And then Jack Black again, line stealer. He's just like, you could tell from their haircuts.
True.
Like, fuck this guy. Jack Black just swoops in.
Hey, the best one I think Jack Black had was that one there with when he's first researching Will Smith's background there, and everybody in the phone calls he's made calls to and whatever. And he goes, "Oh, look who it is, Rachel F for you know what, Banks.
I want
I'd love to have her ruin my life."
Yeah. Yeah, that one's good too.
Well, those are just classic. This is where they're throwing in like the little comedy bits before they start throwing in the crazy action.
I like when
he gets cranky if he doesn't eat.
Yeah. I like when Burrell tries to give him clothes and Will Smith looks at it. He's like, "Nah, no thanks." And he puts it back. He's like, "What? It's my best aloha shirt." Hey, some people meditate, some people get massages. I blend. He's like, "You're really weird, you know that?" He gets that whole storyline about them stealing his blender and then they're just blending.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'll be back for my blender." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna gift wrap it for you."
I'll gift wrap it.
Yeah. His face is all mangled.
When they were racing between the trains, Hackman and those cop guys there, and it ends up flipping the car over and whatever, and then the disc burns, right? Because the car was on fire, and Will Smith's leg burns up, and he's like, and he takes Gene Hackman, just leaves after, right? And he's like, "Where you going?" He goes, "I'm leaving." "What do you mean you're leaving? The disc is gone. We got nothing. It's over."
Yeah.
And just keeps walking away, and that's like, what the fuck?
Life. Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
But that's it. That's all I had for quotes.
Yeah, there's all kinds of little ones, right?
Little ones, but yeah, those are the main, like those couple of rants that Will Smith has in this, and like some of the smart lines he delivers.
It reminded me of a Jada thing in Will Smith, and I hate to bring up this topic, but I mean, there was a line between him and Regina King where she says, "This one time." He says, "This one time, can I start making decisions around here?" And for some reason, it just made me think of him and his wife, right? In that sense of what was been going on in the last little while, right? Like he's actually trying to put the balls on and want to make the decisions. When he has her in the garage and he's giving her the gun to go get the nanny to come out, and
yeah. Well, you know what's funny now though? Like all of this promo for new stuff he's doing though, he's like completely separated from her, like in terms of like being seen with her. You don't see him at all with her anymore after that shit. It's funny because I feel like they were like, "We got to save your fucking brand somehow," and this woman is not making you look good or doing you any favors. So no, it's true. You don't see her like at all with him anymore. Like it's funny how that's changed. And he's been doing a lot of promotion for things lately that I've been seeing. And she's not associated with him at all. After that whole thing, like coming on that fucking Red Table Talk thing where she made him cry in front of everybody, like after that was it. Like after the slap and everything else, you don't see her anymore, I feel like. Which is fine with me because I mean they both have their own careers, so I don't think they need to be together constantly and whatever. But yeah, that's interesting though. That I've been noticing that's the case because before you would see them all like the family dynamic, right? Now you don't see them anymore post slap. So
yeah.
I mean, we don't know what happens behind closed doors, right? Or what happens behind closed doors, obviously. So we can't really be 100% judgmental on that. But I mean, I get what you're saying. She just, when they're out in public, it just doesn't seem like that kind of dynamic you want to be in. It's almost like they're acting to be together.
Yeah, they're just strange, those two. I don't know. Like, I've never really liked the dynamic between them, but I mean, at least what they show the world, anyways. Like you said, we don't know what goes on, but I just don't feel like they're ever like. I think it's just they're putting on a show half the time in the past. But anyways,
yeah, sometimes it is for gloat, right?
Yeah, clout, not glout.
Clout, whatever, gout. Whatever.
No, it's not whatever. It's a word, and you're using it improperly. You said fucking glout, which means nothing. So.
What's glout?
No, we got to start calling you out on these things. This is crazy.
Put it down. Put it in the thing. It's a JTism for gloat.
Oh yeah, sometimes you're just doing it for gloat. You know what I'm saying?
I should have corrected myself and say I said goat, but I didn't.
You literally were just about to move on from that too. You're like, anyways,
yeah. Oh, yeah, we did. Sorry, guys. We always have fun on this show. This one always can make us laugh, the 3 or 4 of us, right? So
they obviously have gout, you know.
Yeah. I just tried to play it off. I tried, but it didn't work. You caught me and you fucking nailed me out on it. You're just like, you know what, you idiot, shut up.
Sometimes I let it, like there was that last late night Letterboxd episode where you literally said the same things twice. And I'm like, okay. The second time, I'm like, you got to stop saying that. That's not the term. So, call me out, too. I mean, we talk a lot on here. I say things improperly sometimes as well. I mean, it's just funny. But like,
it happens, man. I know.
No, you gotta be held accountable. You gotta be held accountable for glout. I'm sorry. What was the last time? What you said, between the waistline or something?
It's gone between the waistline.
Instead of waistline, you literally said by the waistline. You said it fucking twice. And I'm like, no, man, it's waistline, not waistline. If it said the same thing, I wouldn't care. But it's literally
falling by the waistline. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, you guys, and that's the problem too, is I'll forget about it, and then you guys will still remember it. Like, that's the best part. It goes right over my head. Comes out of my mouth, and that's it. Doesn't ever.
No, that was nasty. Doing it for the gloat. I'm sorry, bro. Yeah. Okay, we can move on.
That was a good one, though. That was a good.
Oh,
that was a
God.
good. But
no, I just like how you tried to like. Yeah, whatever. Same thing. No, it's not.
I tried, damn it. I tried, man. Give me credit. Holy fuck.
Oh my God. I'm crying.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it could be spelled the same. You pronounce the same differently. No,
yeah. Sure, whatever you gotta tell yourself, bro. Let's go with that.
ABCs and JTs.
Let's go with that.
Okay. But yeah, I was just say we bring it back home and just
yeah. We still got questions. If you guys have any questions about the film, did anybody have anything?
I really want to know if they had technology like that at that point. Like that was what's kind of freaking me out. Not freaking me out, but just trying to figure out, because remembering 20 years ago, it's hard enough to remember yesterday, let alone 20 years ago for me. I'm sorry, but I know I probably had like a flip phone at that time, if that was even the case. I don't even think they had flip phones. I think it was just cell phones or pages. Right?
98, I would have been 11. It's the start of like those phones that you would buy, like the Nokia ones and shit like that.
Yeah, right. Small.
Yeah. Because I think my first phone I had when I was in middle school, I think grade 6, grade 7, around then. So I would have been.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, because my parents wanted a way to get a hold of me. It was all about that at that time, right? It's not like I was sitting there texting people. It was just for if I was out and my parents needed to like call me or something like that, right? Yeah. So but that's how you did it back then. You literally walked into like 7-Eleven and you bought like one of those Nokia phones,
a burner phone.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's what I had. Like you bought minutes. You bought minutes for it. Like if you didn't have minutes, that was it, right? You couldn't use it. It was useless. It was a brick.
No, but my first brick phone in high school, I remember, not even a joke. It was the Motorola with this triangle that looked like the triangle with the little flip thing down. Just that little, I remember that was the first phone I ever owned.
Yeah, I think mine was Nokia, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I think it was one of those that I had, which they also had like I had a Motorola too, actually, though. I did have a lot of early Motorola's. Yeah, so those were probably my first couple of phones, was that and Motorola. Yeah. So
my first one was a fucking Sanyo Katana, and it was like when I was 15.
That's an awesome name, though. Katana.
It was their answer to the Motorola Razr.
Oh, I had a Razr. I think everybody had a Razr at one point.
I had a knockoff.
Okay,
and it was pink.
Yeah, and you could play Snake on the phones then. That was the big game on the phones back then, was you could play Snake.
And those 8-bit ringtones they had of all popular songs.
I just, my only question for this was like, these guys that they got it for the FBI, where they're like, we're running training ops. Like, clearly Scott Conn and those fucking haircut guys, they were troublesome. they said as much about like, why'd you punch out this guy? They basically used these guys, and these guys knew that this wasn't no fucking training op, right? Like, come on now, right? Like, that's got to be, yeah, okay. Because like at a certain point, they're like running around trying to kill people, right? So yeah, okay. Because that was a little far-fetched in my opinion. That's where like there were certain parts of the movie where you really had to like, you know, give it some rope, where you're like, yeah, I don't know if this would actually happen. Like, I know the government's dirty and people believe this secret op type stuff happens, and it does, but I don't know if like this politician would have that much clout, as JT likes to say.
Yeah, like that many blind followers, like,
yeah, like it just,
yeah,
like Hackman at the end there is like, do you guys know this guy killed this dude? You're all gonna go down. Like, he warns them. He's like, what are you guys all agreeing to this for? Like, what's wrong with you, right? Like, they just really believe in this dude's vision, right?
Right.
Maybe like, just say no to him. Maybe he was that type of character, right? Like that.
I don't know. This guy's like pulling out guns and shit at the end. I'm like, I don't know what this guy was on. John Voight. Like, it was pretty crazy. He's killing people. Well, he didn't even kill him. He just sat there. The other two drugged him and killed him, right? Like the guys that were with his handlers, right? Like, anyways, yeah. So that was my own, that, and like, do we even think that Will Smith's a good lawyer? Because his questionable practices of like, no, seriously, like, I'm like, were we supposed to think this guy was a good lawyer? Because they tried to make it seem like he was at the start. And then, like, you know,
he's like, I've never broken the law,
right? And then he's literally meeting up with Rachel there to get the tape, and he's like, I just want to make sure I'm not breaking the law. She's like, I wouldn't let you. Don't worry about it. And then, like, you know, he's freaking out because ever since I met you, Brill, you got me doing all this crazy shit. He's like running around with like a shotgun. I'm like, dude, like you're like this holier than thou attitude that you have. like, give it up, man. You're on the run.
And now you just turned on a dime, like just like that.
Right. That's why I'm like, I don't know about this character, right? Like, it's because, like, you you didn't obtain those tapes by like legal like some guy named Brill that you've never even met is getting you this footage, right? Like, and he's literally doing the same shit, surveilling that like the government is like, we're hating on them for, right? Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I get it, he's using it for good to take down gangsters, but it's not like you're doing anything. You're not better, I feel like, than anybody in this movie in that regard, right? I don't know. It's kind of it's interesting.
And that bunker that Bro had, did it really even actually, would that have really worked? All those fucking chains
blown up? Yeah.
No, there was another thing. What was that's another question I forgot. Was it like a Game Boy? It was supposed to be a knockoff Game Boy. What the fuck was that?
It's a knockoff Game Boy. His kid thought the game wasn't working. That's why he stuck it in there. And it's
okay, because you didn't really see too much of the front of it. You seen maybe a glimpse, so you don't really know. Like, it's some sort of device like that. But I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be sort of like a knockoff Game Boy because they probably couldn't use the name or whatever.
Yeah,
it kind of happens too fast. It sort of gets lost on the audience that it's even like a Game Boy,
a game thing, until he goes in. I guess to get his.
And it's really big. It's even bigger than a Game Boy. I feel like the thing that he pulled out
because our cell phones are thick, right?
Yeah, it was like I read about like what it actually was. It actually was obsolete by the time the movie came out.
Oh,
Next something, or was that the company?
It was like an MC930 or an MCX something. I read it earlier when I was looking at the trivia stuff.
I know, like, we had the back sticker on it, NEC something like that. I know I was trying to figure it out, but I couldn't get anything from it during that. Like, just to look it up, just to see what the fuck it was.
It was a Game Boy competitor. It was called an NEC Turbo Express.
Oh, like Turbo Graphics one. Yeah, it's like a Japanese company, I think. I know I've heard of them before.
It's like a Sega thing.
Turbo Graphics, 16 games on a color screen.
Yeah, Turbo Graphics. Exactly.
Yeah. By the time the film premiered, it had faded into relative obscurity.
Well, there you go.
I'm pretty sure most of those, even though the style computer that he was downloading the video onto, Did you see those like those little
sumo wrestler guys? Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Copying
up a video to a game cartridge is unheard of. That was really seemed far fetched to me. But
especially for anything back then, unless you knew the technology, like how do you back it up? Maybe it just worked. It was supposed to work in that system, or you just put it in there and just so that it would hold it in place. I'm not sure. I just don't. That was another just a quick part of the movie where you get the gist of it. You just don't. They don't really get into detail. It is
the gist of it.
Shit, different smell. Let it fucking leave me.
No, we're trying to help you improve your vocabulary on the show.
I'm trying.
You have to talk. You have to talk on this platform.
JT speaks the way JT speaks.
JT-isms. All right. Just never evolve. Good job, bro.
I don't need to evolve. I'm already past Neanderthal. I fucking at least live longer than that. I mean, I evolved more than that. I don't really care to be up here.
Did any of you guys have any other questions? Did you have any questions? Any of you? Julie, I didn't hear what you said. You said no or yes?
I had two. One of them was just, it's a dumb question and it's already been answered, so I'm going to skip it. But the other one being, do you know how many people they considered for Will Smith's role?
Oh, do you know the answer? You're asking us. I have
I have the answer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I don't know.
So of
Denzel,
of the available ones, no. Of the available ones that were considered for this role, I'm curious to know if you think anybody else was better suited.
Sure.
But so our considerations are Tom Cruise, Mel Gibson, George Clooney, Keanu Reeves, Sylvester Stallone, and Kevin Bacon.
No to Kevin Bacon. No to Sylvester Stallone. Cruise, I can totally see doing this because he did Mission Impossible and shit like that. So yeah, absolutely. This is actually. You know what? Cruise would have been interesting. Cruise would have been interesting in this movie. I wouldn't have mind seeing Cruise with Hackman, actually. That's interesting. I like that. And he's actually, I think he starred opposite of him in another movie. Is it Pelican? No, that's Denzel Washington, Pelican Brief. He's in another movie with Hackman, though, at some point. I know that. That's a John Grisham novel adaptation, I believe, the movie that he's in. But so sorry, what was it? Tom Cruise, Kevin Bacon, no. George Clooney, no, he didn't really ever go in that direction as much. No, Cruise for sure. I think Cruise is the best suited out of the names that you mentioned. But
what's left was Mel Gibson and Keanu Reeves.
Gibson could have did it at this time. Keanu Reeves, I could see doing it too, but I think Cruise would have been the best fit out of everybody you said there. Because then you get Tom Cruise running the whole movie. That Tom Cruise run, it would have been awesome.
Jumping out of planes, fuck.
That's what I mean.
In his lifted shoes.
Yeah, grab it onto
to make him look taller than everybody else.
Yeah. No, that's Cruise is the answer here for sure. I think that would have been better with Cruise though. Probably. You know what? I actually can see that. I like this for Will Smith though. I do. It's an interesting role in his catalog. Honestly, I do like it.
It throws a little bit more diversity into it too at that time.
So yeah, it's true. If you think of everybody else here that mentions all white actors.
All white actors, yeah. And I was like, maybe this is a good way to stand out and show your role, and you just show how you gotta act and act with the best of them too, right?
Because if you had told me Denzel, then yeah, absolutely, way better. I think Denzel. Well, see, the thing is, though,
the corniness with this. I don't know. There's some of the corniness bits in it, with the one-liners and stuff. I don't know if Denzel would. He'd make him sound more gangster. What are you talking about? Will Smith just makes him sound like
no. Denzel's played other characters. He's worked with Tony Scott a bunch of times too. Yeah, no, it's I think it would have been good, honestly, with Denzel. I see what you're saying, but he's even played a lawyer before. He would have been good in this. He's worked with Tony Scott and he's worked opposite with Gene Hackman. That's probably why they didn't get him to do this, because he was in Crimson Tide literally right before this, I think, with Gene Hackman. So that makes sense. The way it would have been Denzel, but I
also did find in my search a few other considerations for fucking Gene Hackman. I can't remember any of the other ones, but the one that stuck out to me was Christopher Walken was being considered to do Gene Hackman's role.
That would have been interesting. That would have been interesting.
Would have a dancing scene in this one.
Yeah.
I would have hated it if Christopher Walken was the paranoid NSA guy.
So have you ever seen Man on Fire?
No.
Okay, so Man on Fire is a Tony Scott film with Denzel, which is excellent, and it's basically a revenge film where Denzel just goes and kills a bunch of people. But Christopher Walken is an ex-agent friend of his who was also like a secret op kind of mission guy, essentially. So that makes sense that he was in consideration because he plays opposite Denzel in Man on Fire, and he's excellent in that movie. So like, I can see it, honestly.
I don't think. Oh, maybe I might have seen this one. Like it might have been on TV once because I remember this Dakota Fanning thing.
That's from Man on Fire. Yeah, she's in Man on Fire with Denzel.
So I've seen pieces of it, but I don't remember it at all.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I love it. I think it's just like they kidnap her essentially in Brazil or something like that, and he's the guy that has to, like, he was hired to protect her, like her bodyguard. So he basically just goes on this like revenge killing spree, trying to track her down. It's like Taken, kind of like, but with Denzel in Brazil or something, I think it is. But so it's pretty sick. That's like up there for me for Tony Scott movies. That's like one of my favorite movies of his, actually, with Denzel especially. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
That's all I had for questions.
Legacy. Any legacy?
I mean, it's left the truth behind, really. I mean, it's out there now. Now we all know.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, it still bodes well with today's society too, I think, because there's still always there's always going to be privacy issues and stuff like that with anything, and also with the politics, the way that they're played and stuff like that. That it plays very well to the standards, right? So. You know what? And having this here review with you guys, I didn't realize that, there was the exciting parts as you were bringing them up. And I remember, okay, because there was those, so I might not say it was such a bad film either at all. To me, I think it maybe left a better mark.
Changing your score.
But maybe a more mature mark, right? When you sit to think about it.
Okay, as someone that is a fan of this movie, but has seen it quite a few times now, I will say, it's not as good as the first time I watched it. I'll say that. There's like limited, what do you call it? Like return on, like, you know what I mean? Like there's each time I revisit it, I don't want to say I like it less, but it doesn't, but
the thrill of finding things out as they're happening is gone.
Yes. Yeah. So let's say on a Letterboxd scale, since we talk about Letterboxd on the show and on our show Late Night Letterboxd, make sure to check that out, guys. But I would have previously have given this maybe a 4-star. Now it's like more 3.5, I feel like, and I haven't rated it recently, but like I haven't watched this in some time. And when I went to watch this, and I try not to rate it before our discussion, so you guys don't know where I'm at with it. I honestly would have thought that this would have been a 4 rating on my thing, but now I'm like, it's probably more of a 3.5 for me this time around. It still maybe rounds out my top 5 for Tony Scott films, but I just think, it leaves it's less as entertaining the more times you check this movie out, I'll say. But to Jay's point, that's literally what I wrote down on Legacy. I said it kind of showed us a glimpse of the future and how obsessed we are in terms of surveillance and tracking these days, and the right and left wing politics of it all. That's literally what I wrote down, which is everything Jay pretty much touched on. Yeah, that's really anything of this film for sure. I mean, yeah.
That's it. I didn't think there was much like else. I mean, obviously another legacy is just having Gene Hackman in it, right? That's another legacy it left behind, right? Obviously, in that sense. Well, not to say it was because of his acting skills, but I mean, in general, to have him on the screen. Setting,
and Will Smith at this period of his career, honestly, like it is a nice snapshot of, I feel like, up and coming star as well as legacy star, like kind of in the last like tail end of his career. Yeah, I think it's a good time period for both these actors as a result of that, right? Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting, like in that aspect too. Nice. It's all about chasing the glout, y'all.
I knew that you guys were both going to say all of that, which everybody felt about it. So I went a goofy way with my legacy.
All right, let's hear it.
I think that lawyer scene where he's in the room with Silverberg and the other guy, pave the way for like his moment there, paved the way for keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I love it. No, it's great. That's great. See, hot take Julie, man. See, she had one cooking there. She's cooking.
Oh, fuck.
She just had that on the back burner. She just busted it out. There you go. It always comes with a hot take. I love it. No, the energy he's bringing in that scene.
It's the same.
Yeah. I love my wife and my son. No equivocation.
Yeah.
Just Chris Rock's face being there when he slapped the table. There you go. Same energy. Same energy. For sure.
Gene Hackman pulled Will Smith on him. He did like what he did to Chris Rock. At one scene, he just punched him right in the face.
Yeah. I don't hit senior citizens.
Yeah, I don't hit senior citizens.
That's afterwards when he's going like this with his jaw, and he's like, "You want to punch me back? I don't hit senior citizens." Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great, Julie. That's a good take. I like that. There you go. She had to end on the hot take, Julie. Fucking. No, I mean seriously. You ever beat off in the shower? I know I have, Jay.
Well, no, not in the shower. I don't know. The water does something to me, and it just doesn't. It gets too much friction.
Harder, that's for sure.
My equipment's a little too complicated for that.
I missed opportunity. That should have been in my unique questions. You ever beat off in the shower?
Oh, shut up.
Jay, you ever have any homosexual thoughts? That's none of my business, you pervert.
Yeah, you ever decide to wear, does edible panties ever make you feel sexy, Nico?
I've been around edible panties before, yes.
Oh, I mean, when you wear them. I mean,
I didn't wear them, no.
I've eaten some. Well, I had literally with that quote there, I had used Max's last name, like Max.
They're like fruit roll-ups.
Yeah, pretty much.
To ask Max if he has any homosexual thoughts. I had that lined up for him, man.
You know what's funny? I did put in my earlier notes, not these ones, that I was gonna ask you if you ever beat off with it.
Yeah, this is the way we think. Like, I just had to relate it to something, right? So I was like, all right, I can ask. Maybe I'll throw that one out to Max.
I think on the next movie review, you just bust it out randomly. You ever beat off in the shower like he does?
Yeah, put that in your unique questions for the next one.
You should just start highlighting random questions that have nothing to do with
random questions. Yeah, that's
I like it. Idea.
Oh man. So some good laughs in this one. I didn't expect between the gloat and the
getting the gist of it.
Yo, let's hit up Julie's favorite category though, and you should lead the way here. Jay, have you finally? Hold on, actually, no. Jay should go first. Jay, have you finally figured out this category where you learned how to pair a movie with this, or no? Tell me, please, something.
I mean, I got something I could try for, right?
Go ahead.
And, yeah, I had because just a little short, like Christmas, make it like a Christmas thing. I was like, let's try Die Hard with this one. You want to see some crazy action and different type of acting?
I co-sign that.
Yeah, why not?
Or like stuff like earlier, or maybe a little bit after Independence Day and stuff like that, where it's all the same acting.
See, you're doing it. This is what movies to pair with. Yeah, you think of certain aspects of the film that match with other aspects of other films. Yeah, Will Smith. Yeah,
and then like we did stuff like a younger Jack Black, seeing stuff with him in it or something like that with him in it is always cool to see when you don't get to see him at that. So I would, we just did the High Fidelity one, which was a total different style of Jack Black.
Same energy. No, I would say like the jokes are like kind of similar, like of the.
They're more subtle in here. The other one, he was just a fucking wild animal in High Fidelity.
But he had a much larger part in the other one. But like to Julie's point, like he was almost semi-sealing scenes with the lines in this one. When
that's kind of why they probably kept him with small lines.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's such a big presence, right? Like back then. So
huge personality, yeah.
Right. That's so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, so those are your pairings. That's good. I like it.
Because honestly, that's really all I could think of. I mean,
just a couple you need. I mean, you can even
watch Men in Black, I think.
Yeah.
But I would say something like that, or along the lines of the conversation too, right? With something
I had that as well. Yeah, that's the obvious one.
How you said that, yeah.
Which one?
The conversation. I mean, I think if you watch, if you watch the conversation, then you watch this, it's actually a great double feature because you do see the character and like as he's older after the fact of that film, and also like I said, the first one's slow, then you get hit with this one, and it's like super like high, like thrill ride kind of. So like if you're falling asleep after the first film and you pop in this one, maybe it'll pick you back up in that sense, right? Like just because it's lower energy in the conversation as opposed to this one, right? So yeah. So Julie,
what else? Yeah, Julie.
I didn't have as many picks as I normally come in with because, again, to my point about the horror genre, this particular subsect of like
espionage type stuff.
Yeah, this isn't really my bag either. Like
I love this spy stuff.
I knew you would come in clutch with like mad picks for this, but I was like, I don't like. I looked through some Reddit threads and stuff, and I was like, what do people like find is like a similar movie, whatever. I haven't seen the majority of the stuff that people recommend that is like similar to this. So I'm like, yeah, this kind of isn't really my area either. But like, if I wanted to go like with the easy pairings like of Will Smith stuff that's kind of in the same lane, I put iRobot down and I put down Men in Black. John Voight stuff, like I obviously know who he is and I've seen stuff with him in it, but I don't think I've seen any of his like major role stuff like that I can think of.
Yeah, we just like watching.
Which?
I just like watching his daughter on the film. I'd rather have her there than
Angelina Jolie's his daughter.
Fair. Yeah.
Horrible.
I don't know if I've seen much of his catalog either, right? Yeah. And same thing with Gene Hackman. Like we were talking about this before when we were talking about Royal Tenenbaums and stuff. Like the Birdcage is like the only thing I've seen with Gene Hackman in it, and now this.
You need to rectify that.
Yeah. Like we gotta figure this out. So I had nothing for like Gene Hackman pairings because that's what I normally do is I break down the main cast or I do the director. So I'm like out of my element with my picks, right? So I put down iRobot, Men in Black for Will Smith pairings. I put down Pride and Glory for John Voight because I like that movie a lot.
Is he in that? The Rock movie with him and
no. Sorry. So Pride and Glory. No. You're thinking Pain and Glory. Pride and Glory is Edward Norton and that other fucking cop guy. What the fuck is his name? Hold on a second.
Cop guy?
Pride and Glory.
He's
look it up. I'm interested now.
Colin Farrell's in it, but this other guy, Noah Emmerich.
I don't know if I know him.
You would know him to see him. I don't know the name well enough to like, but I feel like he always plays a cop.
Oh, yeah. Okay, but this is with your boy Edward Norton. Okay,
yeah. You know, I gotta.
Oh, this guy. Yes. I'm familiar with this dude.
Yeah. I feel like he's always a cop. He's always like a New York City beat cop in every fucking thing that I can imagine him in.
Shawshank, isn't he? Isn't he one of
the guards? He is. Yeah.
The guard that he sleeps with in Shawshank. That's
yeah. So I put down Pride and Glory for a John Voight pairing. I also put down Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, vibes. I haven't seen this one. Parth and I watched this together. And he said Unthinkable he feels like is a good pairing for this one, but I've never seen that, so I don't know.
Which one is that one again? That one's I heard
it's a Samuel L. Jackson movie. It's I think maybe like because it's based around like a videotape. That was the vibe I was getting. I've never
seen this. Okay.
I hadn't even heard of it, but that's one that he thought might fit.
Okay.
And that's all I had.
I had a few. I went, as Jay just said, I went from the, the conversation. Obviously, was an obvious pick for me just because the character Gene Hackman. Also, if you for my Tony Scott pairing and also Hackman, I went with Crimson Tide, as I previously mentioned, which I think is a really good action film as well. That Tony Scott directed and Gene Hackman starred in opposite Denzel. That takes place on a submarine. Early James Gandolfini in that movie as well, and a bunch of other actors. Same thing, like star-studded cast, like everybody early in their career. A lot of the guys on the submarine. For the Will Smith pairing, I went Bad Boys. I thought Bad Boys was kind of like the, same type of action, type of energy, but also like got some humor in it. So I kind of went with that route. And also the first one I went with. I like the second one more than the first one, I think, but the first one is like even a couple years before this. So I was going to go the route Jay went with Independence Day, but he doesn't have, I mean, he has such a good part in Independence Day, but it's not that big of a part. Like, it's funny because everyone thinks of Will Smith in that movie, but when you go back and watch it now, like, he is such an important part, like scene in the film, but he's isn't like a big part of the movie. No, he's not a big, but that's what broke him out of like Fresh Prince and everything. I know.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah. So, and then I went with, and just in terms of tone, I went Born Identity because, again, like, it's a guy on the run and it's got a lot of espionage type stuff in it. And also Fugitive, different circumstances, but he's literally on the run the whole film, right? So I really like that movie. You ever seen The Fugitive, Julie? Oh, good stuff, man. Fugitive.
But you said the Bourne movie, right? And so you talking about the series, like in general. Have you ever watched that whole thing? Yeah, of course you have.
I actually just recently watched it last year. I watched all three. Never seen them before. I watched the first three with Matt Damon. I didn't watch the one where he returns, or I didn't watch. There's a Tom Cruise one, isn't there?
You still got. I think you still got to watch them all, man. To be honest with you, but yeah,
well, the trilogy is the best ones. I heard the first three
with the Matt Damon. I get that part. Yeah, but I mean,
Jeremy Renner's in the other one, right?
Jeremy Renner, yeah.
And then he comes back, I think, after that.
Yeah. You show him Matt Damon, yeah. So
I heard the Renner one's good too. I like Renner. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I only watched the trilogy, the first one, Born Identity, Ultimatum, and Conspiracy. I think I've heard whatever those first three are. I watched those.
That's good at espionage stuff because I couldn't think of anything with like that. You know, like in that sense in the movie that I've watched or recently watched or whatever, anything like that.
Same thing, because it's a lot of tracking and stuff like that going on. Like, they're constantly tracking him in that film. Same with The Fugitive. They're constantly chasing Harrison Ford in that film, right? So, like, obviously the circumstances are different in each of those movies, but I think the part of this film which I really enjoy are the chases. So I think that captures the same type of vibe those films. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I had.
That's nice. The same here, man. That's everything. So, who's got the next pick? The man of the hour that's not here?
I do. So, Max is picking the next pick. And he obviously isn't here to announce that today, but given the recent news of Val Kilmer recently passing away this past week, who is battling cancer for quite a while, actually. So it's not like it was unexpected, but still sad, obviously, all the same. Julie, I know you have a lot of memories of him with Batman Forever. I know that's probably your
hell favorite.
Yeah, as do I. That's a high Val Kilmer pick for me. Obviously, in later years, I really appreciate his work in Heat. But a movie that I've never seen that's actually a very well-regarded role and character of Val Kilmer. If you guys had read the news that came out this week when they kind of highlight like things that he did in movies that he did in his past, this was one that's mentioned all the time, and that's Tombstone.
Oh, damn. Okay, all right, cool.
Not the Doors.
I thought he was gonna pick the Doors. I don't know why.
Have you seen the Doors?
No, but I keep getting fed clips of it now because he's died. So and I'm like, oh shit, how have I not seen this? Tombstone.
Tombstone's a Western, I think. And
seems to be. Fucking Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton, Kurt Russell.
I've heard lots of great things about this movie. I've never seen it. Jay, you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it. It's a great movie.
So there you go. So our next pick is Tombstone in light of Val Kilmer. Rest in peace. And, I'm sure we'll get into other Val Kilmer talk and stuff like that, either on here or Late Night Letterbox by the time we do Tombstone. But I'm really looking forward to it because I haven't seen it. And, I feel
another
like
genre that's outside my wheelhouse, fucking Westerns.
Yeah, it's good. Actually, it's good. It's I like Westerns, but there's not many modern Westerns you can really point to these days. Right. So I think this is early 90s. This one, like
oh yeah, you got 93, bro. You got like fucking Billy Bob, everybody, Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott,
Charlton Heston's in it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you looked at it, like the things that people would cite, obviously, were Batman, his role in Heat, this movie, and The Doors. That's the ones that people seem to talk about the most about Val Kilmer. And I have never seen The Doors either. When he told me he was going to pick a Val Kilmer movie before he told me what it was, I thought he was going to either pick The Doors or this movie. So I would have been down for either of them, but After our last Oliver Stone outing, I'm a little happier that he picked Tombstone because
Fair.
any given Sunday was interesting to say the least. But yeah,
Yes, it was.
another JT
Interesting.
pick that he picked for the Glout.
For the glout, just so we could get the gist of it.
See, way to spread the word, Nico. Way to spread the word.
I can't believe though it's true. Like, what number of movie picks are we at? Where has he ever been on one of your picks? I think the only one he was on was that first one you did, and he shit all over it. Julie wasn't on the episode.
A Most Violent Year, yeah.
Most Violent Year. I think that was the last time he was on. No, that's not true. He was on Beach Bum with you too. That was your pick.
Was he on Beach Bum? Did he show up?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he
Julie
was.
out on both of those.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was on Beach Bum. So yeah, he showed up more than you think, I guess, to your picks. But half of them anyway.
I'll take it for what it's worth. No, yeah, he's got a tummy ache. I'm sorry, Max. But yeah.
So any final thoughts on this though? Next movie's Tombstone in 2 weeks.
No, I got no
I gave the same rating you did to this one, a 3.5 stars.
Yeah,
I'm saving that. You guys can check mine later, but that I can't wait to now see this Tombstone because I would love to revisit that one after fucking 25 years.
Yeah, he made a comment thinking that we both had seen it, but I've never actually seen it. So I know he's aware you saw it. So
I grew up with those with my old man and dad in horror films back in those days, right? So it was kind of those types of things I would watch. There's also the other ones like with Young Guns and all that stuff with Sharon Stone and all that, like that whole series.
That I've seen. Yeah, Unforgiven. Yeah, there is a period of the early 90s, late 80s where there were still that was like the end of an era of Westerns, I feel like, during that period of time. Yeah.
But then now these days countries come back so much too, which is so weird, right?
Well,
in that sense.
Yeah, because they have that 1923 show, or what's it called? 18 whatever. That other show that's like a spinoff of
1923. Yeah. But I mean, not even that. It's just Westerns in general, like country music and stuff that takes place sort of in those types of Texas.
Yeah, every now and then you get a Western. Like I know they remade True Grit by the Coen brothers, and then they did the assassination of Jesse James movie of Brad Pitt, which I've never seen, but I've heard about. It's got an extremely long name, the title. And
that's the one that I think Tony Scott did that, didn't he? Do that?
Did he? I don't know. He may have. And then you got Tarantino's Westerns, which are pretty out there for Westerns, some of them, but they are Westerns, right? Django and Hateful Eight. I mean, it can be considered also in that tone, right? So, So there you go.
Now you got me really wanting to find out what that was. I'm telling you, I just looked it up on Thing, and I'm pretty sure he did that movie. Tony Scott.
The assassination of Jesse James by the coward, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that by him?
I'm pretty sure. On my phone, it doesn't actually show Tony Scott. It just shows fucking all the cast. Is it different than on the computer on IMDb? That's why I'm just kind of looking it up on my fucking phone.
IMDb is another one.
No, it's not by him. It's directed by Andrew Dominic.
Oh, okay,
and the name of the film is The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. It's an extremely long name. And some people I've heard have really said this is a good movie with Brad Pitt, and they cite its fact that people didn't check it out based off the title because it's like so long. It literally tells you what happens in the title of the film. But it is, I think it's on my watch list. Yeah, I do want to check it out. I've heard really good things about it. But anyways, Tombstone, Val Kilmer, next time on the show. All right, guys, make sure to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. Make sure to check out Late Night Letterbox and all that good stuff too. Later.
Fun stuff.